just a bloke in a bar.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Bloke in a Bar. And before I get into it, this brings me so much joy. I am so excited to announce, for the first time ever, Bloke has partnered with Aussie Footy Shorts to create our very own footy shorts, rugby league shorts. Not only are they footy shorts, they literally have pockets in them. That is right, ladies and gentlemen. They have pockets in them. They are dropping next Monday at 6 p.m. As you can see on YouTube right now, I'm holding them up. We've got our classic brown and yellow. We've got black and white, and then a classic red and yellow. We have never done footy shorts for this reason. I wanted to make sure to wait until we did them correctly, did them the right way. So we have teamed up with Aussie Footy Shorts next Monday, 6 p.m. These have already been made, so this isn't like a pre-order or anything. There is a limited amount. Monday, 6 p.m, we'll be dropping them. There'll be a link on our website, or you can join the Bloke Club at bloke.club, and we'll send you a text when they go live, which heaps of people already signed up to. But there'll be a link on our website, so bloke.shop, but also on the Aussie Footy Shorts website as well. So as I said, guys, we've never done footy shorts before. We've been actually planning these for basically half the year. Super excited, guys. Monday, 6 p.m. Thanks to the legends Aussie Footy Shorts for teaming up with us. They've got a bunch of other designs as well, but I cannot wait.
Mate, footy shorts with pockets, that's like man on the moon stuff.
I know, mate.
Has science come too far?
Mate, you are absolutely right. Maybe we are pushing the edge. It's not AI. It's none of that stuff. It's not the nuclear fusion. It's footy shorts with
Might
bloody...
as well be.
Yeah, might as well be. Next, I cannot wait, guys. Seriously, one of my most exciting drops. I've wanted to do these since day dot. It just hasn't been the right time. Now is the right time. Monday, 6 p.m. next week. Also, before we get into it, tomorrow, Wayne Bennett's new book written by Andrew Webster, it is out tomorrow. There's going to be a link in the show notes as to where you can purchase it. And this is a juicy, juicy book. Webby, obviously my co-host on Morning Glory with Matty Johns. I'm telling you, this goes deep into some of the biggest moments in Wayne's career. You aren't going to want to miss it. So that's tomorrow it goes live. I think you can even go on the website now and pre-order. So in the show notes, whether it's podcast or YouTube, click the link and grab yourself the Wolf You Feed. And as I said, some of the stuff that Webby told us before this book dropped, the interview, he spent days and days with Wayne Bennett just going through everything. You do not want to miss this, guys. That is the Wolf You Feed by Andrew Webster.
There's actually a Denning Kemp testimonial on the back of it. This is a juicy, juicy book.
Juicy book. Matter of fact, I'll just read you a little snippet, actually.
Reading from the Book of Wayne.
Reading from the Book of Wayne. Once I was a coach at the Brisbane Broncos, and there was a winger that really did befuddle me, but also intrigue me. Large beak, nice shaven legs, the greatest winger I've ever coached. There you go. You can fill in the blanks who that was.
Shout out to Gerard.
Anyway, that's tomorrow, but I think you can pre-order tonight. So you may as well just go on tonight and get it done, the Wolf You Feed. But boys, how are we all feeling, boys? I mean, I think we all, there's only one of us who didn't get the win on the weekend.
Yeah, look, I'd love to say, Kempy, that I'm happy to be here today, but the reality is that about 14, 15 hours ago, I was up at Hunter Stadium in Newcastle, watching the Raiders season end in pretty horrid circumstances. I then jumped in the car, little Mazda 3 with 5 big units heading back to Sydney. I lost the rock off, drew the bitch seat for the way back, middle at the back. It was horrific. Got back here today and put it this way, mate, just like the bloke motto, you're lucky I've turned up for the boys. It's been a tough 12, 24 hours.
Mate, so close, yet so far.
Oh,
so close.
Just
robbed? Are we talking robberies?
Oh, robbed. Gamble should have been sent off for carrying on about that alleged buy.
Guru, mate, how's your weekend?
Yeah, good, mate. We partied in Bondi like it was 2002.
You're good, Guru. You're great. Now, obviously, we've got the great Hammy here, mate. What did you do on the weekend?
Just put the feet up. Us West Tigers fans, we're planning ahead to next year. Bit of smoke around in the city today. See the smoke on the way?
Yeah.
I was hopeful that the West Tigers had elected a new CEO, but we'll wait and see. Feet up for me. Just enjoyed the footy. Tigers didn't play. So
Rugby League was the winner.
Rugby
this
League
weekend.
was the winner.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, speaking a bit of rugby league, it's time to face the music. Brought to you by our legend partners over at Sportsbet.
Yep.
Hammy, speak to me, mate.
I will. Well, just before we do that,
Okay.
I'm a little bit starstruck today because I'm on the panel with the blokes from the Sportsbet skit that went out last week. The Journo Judiciary went gangbusters. Went really well. Some great performances in there as well.
Thank you.
After Buzz Rothfield beat his grade 4 reckless rumour mongering with intent to block on Twitter charge, he actually blocked Sportsbet, shared the video and he blocked us. Hasn't learned his lesson there.
What the hell?
But I was very impressed with some of the performances from everyone on the panel.
Thank you.
The first question I've got to answer, everyone's asking, where was Timmy? Why wasn't Timmy in there? And my mail is that Timmy was actually out at Spotless Stadium watching an open training session for the Giants. So he was unavailable for the shoot. However, I've got a few awards here for some of the boys that were involved. So the first one, who's going to be going home with a six-pack of Bloke Lager. Now, this could only really go to one person, this award. This is the Could Be Anything award for Best New Talent. So, Guru, congratulations to you, mate.
Oh, there you go, mate.
For him.
There you go.
And next award here, going home with a six-pack of Bloke Mid. Again, really only one person who could fit the bill for this. And this was for the largest beak on camera award. Now, the beak was looking big there.
Thanks, bro.
They say the camera adds 10 pounds, but it was looking good. So congrats, mate. You've gone home with this one here. Round of applause.
Thank you. Appreciate it, mate.
And this last one here is the Marcel Marceau Award for Best Performance in a Non-Speaking Role, which goes to Matty. Now, Matty, you've won 50% off any six-pack of Bloke beer. Check your stockers list.
What the hell?
Head in and just let them know you've won the Marcel Marceau Award on the Monday show. And they'll sort you out. So a round of applause for Matty as well.
Yeah, thanks, Matty. Well done, mate.
Best comment on the video, no one on the panel, but just having a bit of a read through the commentary. Shout out to Matthew_B80. This one just got me straight between the ears. He said, stay patient, Journo fans. Credit where it's due.
Yeah.
So, it's made a splash. But thanks, boys. Thanks for your time on that one. It came up really well. But now, let's get ready to face the music.
Face the music, baby.
Yep.
We're here to face... We always face the music. We do.
You do, and you've done it in good spirit.
Yeah.
Obviously, yourself dancing week 1,
Yep.
Matty danced week 2. So the way it works, if you're not familiar, whoever gets the lowest score in their tips has got to face the music, has got to dance on camera to a song of my choosing for 5 seconds.
Yes.
So a quick refresher. Denon, you will be dancing to Cats in the Cradle.
Okay.
In honour of your new fatherhood. Guru, the chicken dance, that would have been getting a flogging in your lounge room on Saturday evening. So you'll be ready to go. Big sound for Timmy. Go Giants. Good luck against Port on Saturday as well.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
You heading over?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Yep. Good luck. And then, Matty, if you have to go back to back, you are going to be dancing for back once again the Renegade by the Fred Woodin.
I like that.
So we'll see how we go. First game, Broncos 26, Storm 0, line 4.5 points. Going into week 1, if you had have told me that the Friday night game was going to end up being the poo slinger, I would have sent you for an HIA straight away. Absolute bloodbath this one. Broncos looking very good. Kempy into $2.40 to win the comp now as well.
Ooh.
You and Timmy both had the Broncos covering. 2 points for you. Guro had the Bronx to win, but the Storm with the start. 1 point there. Matty, you had the Storm head-to-head.
Yes.
Duck egg for
Get
Matty
ready,
there.
son.
Get those shorts ready. Next game, flawless tipping from everybody here. Panthers 32, Warriors 6. The line, 12.5 points. They are now into $2.10 to win the comp after that one. Everybody picked up 2 points there. The next one here, Sharkies 12, Chooks 13, line half a point. Denon and Guru, you went Chookies 1 to 12, 2 points for you there. Timmy and Matty, you went Sharks 1 to 12. So no points for you boys there.
Uh-oh.
Right-roll.
Uh-oh.
So it all comes down to this last one here. Now this one here, Knights v Raiders, this tasted like a finals game. You've only got to ask Jack Whiten to know that was the case. Knights 30, Milk 28. Now, not to jump ahead.
Okay.
I know you can edit this out if you want to, but Menulog Hungriest player promo, Jack Whiten this week. Because the promo writes itself. 6 to 8 weeks off your 2024 season when you order human arm and enter Whiten at checkout. Writes itself. You've probably already locked it in.
No, I appreciate the feedback.
Just want to think about it.
And I'll take it on board.
To the results, everyone picked up 1 point in this one, head to head. Everyone had the Knights, but everyone had them covering, which they didn't do. So 1 point each. So our results, where did we land here? Denon, with tipping your firstborn son can be proud of. 7 points.
There we go, baby.
Well done.
Hey, winners win. The big dogs stand up in finals time, baby.
They do, absolutely. Guru, 6 points for you. You've avoided I think that the punters really want the chicken dance. It's the number one comment every week. I might have to rig it one week just to make sure they get what they're after. Timmy, 5 points for you. So, Matty, once again, shameful tipping with 3 points. Now, you were a little bit distracted since last week. You had 2 years with your beautiful partner. You're out for dinner. You had a few things on your mind. But what's doing? 3 out of 8 at the business end of the season with the tips.
Mate, you know what? He's tipping like his team played at the end of the year.
Whack. All right, well, up you come, mate. I want
Come on, son.
5 seconds of your best.
And we can't be the same dance as last time. We need to mix it up, baby. Look, he's come prepared, so he knew he was going to lose. He knew, that's a loser's mentality. It's a loser's mentality.
He had a hunch. He was sort of limbering up when I came in.
Here we go. Here we go, baby.
You ready? 5 seconds of your best. He's back once again. There we go.
There we go. That's 5 seconds.
Well done.
There we
That's 5
go.
of your best.
That's the best. Hey, he's a good sport. He's a good sport.
Mixing it up as well. Got the sprinkler out.
Too bad his major signing next year is going to be out for about 8 weeks.
Absolutely. Hard times, Matty. All right, so there you go. That's Face the Music. Very simple. If you don't want to dance like Matty, just tip well, boys.
Yeah. Just know your rugby league.
It's not rocket science.
Yeah. Right.
All right, so let's get into finals week 2. Only 2 games this week, so I've just thrown in a few other things. I've got the over-under line, and then I want an anytime try scorer for each game as well.
Okay.
All right, so finals week 2, we kick off with Storm $1.32, Chooks $3.43, lines 8.5 points, and the over-under is 40.5 points.
Okay. Under?
Yep.
Storm to win?
Yep.
And anytime try scorer?
Yep.
Hughes anytime.
Hughes anytime. Do they cover the line as well? 8.5.
Yep. They cover.
Gotcha.
All right, it's a lot to take in. I'm going Melbourne to win.
Yep.
I'm going to take the Chooks to cover.
Yep.
What else? I need unders.
Yes.
Take unders. And anytime try scorer, I'm going to take Eli Katoa.
Eli Katoa. The headline there, Guru's tipped against his own team. So see how that unfolds. Timmy?
Pretty similar to the Roo. I'm going the Storm. I'm going unders. I'm going Roosters to cover. I was going to go Eli Katoa as well, but you can have it, Roo. I'll go... Would you go Drame Hughes?
Yeah, Hughes.
All right, I'll stick to the same edge and go Warbrick.
Picked
Like
a winger. What a coward.
Yeah,
Mate's
winger.
coming in.
Winger.
I'll go in.
Winger.
I'll go Storm, head-to-head. Storm to cover the line. Unders and Munster.
Like it. Well played. All right, so the other game, we've got the Wars over in New Zealand against the Knights. The line's 5.5 points, and the over-under is 41.5 points.
What was the line again?
5.5. Just under a converted try. Still a lot of question marks here. Will SJ play? Won't he play?
Oh, this is so tough. Surely they don't lose at home. Warriors to win.
Yep.
Warriors to win and cover. Under, was it 40?
41.5.
Under, anytime try scorer. I could be a coward and go with Tenny Zalesniak, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. Adam Vanilla Blake.
Vanilla Blake.
Got me again, Kevin.
Bit of value there as well.
Bit of value there,
Which you
baby.
love.
I'm going for the big play. It's finals footy, mate.
It is. Turn up.
I'm going to go all the same as Kempy. So Warriors to cover, unders. My anytime try scorer will be Jackson Ford.
Jackson Ford. Well played.
Yeah, Warriors to cover. I think one of the best bets of the week is over 40.5 in that one. It's going to be points galore. So overs, and then try scorer right in there, Corey.
No one's gone against the grain with a Knights try scorer here.
Well,
What's Matty
just
got?
hold. I'm going Knights to win.
Yep.
Obviously, Knights for the start. Dom Young to score and overs.
I've got this theory that Matty just loves dancing on camera.
No, we'll get into it, but like, I don't know, like the Knights. Anyway, we'll get into it later.
Yeah. All right, we're locked and loaded for week 2 of the finals.
Done and dusted. Wait yourself, mate. Are you gonna?
Me, you want me to put some in?
Yeah.
All right.
I think you should, mate.
Let's do it.
Very easy to make everyone else face the music, mate.
I've actually quite enjoyed that sort of side of it so far. But anyway, I'll get involved. All right, I reckon.
If we're facing the music as well while we're here, I think we had top try scorer for the finals last week.
Yep.
We all got a few runs on the board there.
Yes, correct.
Guru got a couple, but
Yep.
Mate, you were the only one you went Dallin. No meat pies for you.
No meat pies, but you don't win them in week 1 of the finals. Got a couple of bites at the cherry. So, yeah, a bit of an update there. I think Matty had Dom Young. He's actually leading there. We don't see that too often on Face the Music. Matty leading with 2 tries. Denon and Timmy had Cobbo, and Guru, you had Marju. So you've all got 1. So anyone's race, really.
Yeah.
In the Face the Music top try scorer of the finals.
Okay, what's your tips this
All
week?
right, my tips this week, I'm going to go with Storm head-to-head. Chooks to cover, though. Or Chooks with the plus. I'll go under as well, under 40.5. And my try scorer, gee whiz, I know we've had it already. I'm going to go Warbrick, if that's allowed.
Wingers are for cowards, but anyway, it's all right.
Who picks wingers?
Yeah. That's cowards chat, but it's all right.
Well, strap yourself in, coward fans, because I'm going to go again here. I'm going to go Warriors head-to-head, Knights with a plus, over, and I'm going to go Dallin as my winger there.
Oh, you're backing him again because you didn't.
Yeah, I'm doubling down,
I
mate.
like it. I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
buckle up.
No wonder you're the arbiter of facing music because
Yeah.
you've got guts, except for that wingers chat.
Yeah. Let's see how it pans out.
Will you be dancing if you get it wrong?
Absolutely.
Okay, I like that.
It's
I
called
like
face it. You got to walk the walk if you're going to talk the talk. So
Or dance the dance.
you do got to dance.
Well, who'd you go for the Knights game, try scorer?
Uh,
That was Dallin and Warbrick. If you combine that multi, it'll pay $1.07.
you win some, you lose more. I think about there as well. Anyway, good luck, everybody. See who's going to be dancing next week, and if your team's playing, Guru, good luck to you. Good luck in the against Port as well, Timmy.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
And I'll see you next week.
And good luck, Matty, at the judiciary.
Yeah, good luck. Thank you. Thoughts and prayers.
It's your problem now, Matty.
Oh, thanks so much for joining us. As always, brought to you by the legend partners over at Sportsbet. Gamble responsibly. You win some, you lose more, but it's the best in the biz. We know that. Boom. Done. All right, before we get into Team of the Week, I guess a little announcement. We're actually looking for someone to help design and create Bloke merchandise. So please email matt@blokeinabar.com if you're a really good graphic designer, or if you've got experience creating merchandise or creating designs for merchandise, or even you're in the fashion industry and you want to create clothing for Bloke. Obviously, paid gig. Give Matty, matt@blokeinabar.com, an email with your resume or examples of your work, because we'd love to chat. Let's get straight into it, though. Team of the week. Ooh, this is a tough one this week. This is a tough one. So at fullback, we argued Reece Walsh, Kalen Ponga, but we settled on Kalen Ponga. See, initially I felt Kalen Ponga. I felt Reece Walsh should have been selected in Team of the Week because the way he played against a Melbourne Storm side. But then we spoke about it more, and I would love to hear your thoughts, and we basically agreed that Kalen Ponga actually should be the guy in Team of the Week at fullback.
What are you saying about the Canberra Raiders?
Well, I better not say it. The stick might come after me. No, I just think that they're not as good as the Storm.
I'm going to miss Sticky.
Oh, mate, absolutely. Anyway, KP, why'd we go with KP, boys?
Yeah, I think we just went with KP. Some of the key moments he came up with in that game, went to the full 90 minutes. He was there to seal it at the back end. I really was 50-50. I think might be better to throw to Timmy. He obviously saw KP live. Were you sober for that?
Oh, yeah, neither here nor there. He was incredible. And I was as incredible as Reece Walsh was. I was pretty resounding for Kalen Ponga. Every time, I love watching that bloke live. He's something so extraordinary. And as Walsh is too, but everything the Knights did yesterday essentially came off the back of Kalen Ponga and his touches and just the uncertainty he puts in the defensive line. He absolutely tore us to shreds. So I think, no doubt, it was Kalen Ponga for me.
I think what gets KP across the line for me too is the fact that there is absolutely no doubt in any of our minds that there's no way Newcastle Knights win that game if he's not on the field. Like they get beaten maybe even 13 plus, seriously. Whereas could the Broncos grind out a 10-6 victory against the Melbourne Storm if Reece wasn't on the field? Maybe. So that's where I was like, when you're looking at impact, individual performances, that gets KP across the line. And also Reece made a couple of unforced errors in the second half late on. I know KP made some errors in the second half late on, but they were forced errors. Like, they were tough, balls throwing behind him, going up for high balls, whereas Reece, I think, was like a play the ball and something else.
Yeah. I'll tell you the moment that stood out with me for KP, and it's so weird to highlight, it was a missed tackle, but the shot he put on Jordan Rapana,
Yeah.
when he kicked deep,
I loved
led
that.
the chase, and he got there and thought, fuck, I can't tackle with this shoulder.
Yeah.
I have to contort my body the other way. Like, when he was in the air making the tackle, I thought, he's going to knock himself out here. He's in all the wrong spot, but I just love the leadership that KP's taken on over the last 10 weeks. I think that would be fair to say.
He doesn't get enough credit for his toughness.
Yeah.
He really doesn't. And because they don't look like, the big boys in the middle that are rough and tough, like, KP is tough as anything. His biggest issue used to be his lack of self-preservation. Taking those high balls where he would get so high and put his kind of hips out like that and put himself in a position to get hurt. KP gets team of the week. Before we keep going though, we are actually going to do, because it's not done, we're going to do the most valuable bloke in the final series. I cannot believe that the NRL don't do it. So MVB, most valuable bloke in the final series. What we're going to do is there'll be a survey link in the YouTube show notes, in the podcast show notes. We'll also do a post on Instagram later. You can click the link and you can vote who you felt was the player of that week. And then at the end of the final series, the player with the most votes, most likely, unless there's corruption and we overrule, they will be awarded player of the final series. So it'll be a mixture of both, to be honest, because voting is good, but sometimes, for example, let's say a Broncos player plays really well, and let's say a smaller club gets to the finals, most likely the Broncos players will win due to the fact that he's going to get more votes because of a bigger fan base. So it'll be a mixture of we'll see your votes, we'll take that into account, and then at the end of this whole final series, we will award the MVB, most valuable bloke. Anyway, let's keep going. Taruva at 2. Smokey for Rookie of the Year?
Yeah, I constantly forget
Same.
he has played. Yeah, so he have to play less than 4 games last year, wasn't
He's eligible. He played 3 last year.
Yeah, I missed out as well. I thought he was ineligible.
Yeah, crazy. Mate, he is... what I love about Taruva, we'll get to it in the game preview. We've got plenty of time. 3, Farnworth. Oh, it stings seeing him play that well as a Broncos fan, knowing he's gone next year. 4, Crichton. 5, Dom Young. How interesting that 3 out of the back 5 are all being signed on big contracts at other clubs.
I swear.
At 6, we'll talk about it later, Tyson Gamble. Mate, one of the best stories of the season. One of the best stories. Like, if you had top 5 stories that you just love the narrative and the yarn, I'm putting Gamble in there.
His development has been incredible.
Mate.
Unbelievable.
Honestly, midway through the year, I was like, this guy is not a first grader. He's a reserve grader filling a hole for a first grader to come in and take that spot. How wrong was I? And also the fact that all he's needed is an opportunity with a bit of guidance. He's been outstanding. And he's not been outstanding for a battler. No, he's been one of the better sixers for the last month of rugby league.
I think we all agreed with Tyson that he was like a Band-Aid halfback. He was a good guy to bring in for 3 to 4 weeks.
You brought him in for his attitude.
Yeah. Which he hasn't lost, but just the decisions he's making. And I thought the play that summed him up was the try he set up where Hudson Young caught up to him. And he pulled up, he propped, he let Hudson get in front of him, turned it into a 2-on-1. Like, everything we know about Tyson Gamble up until 10 weeks ago is everything has to be 100 miles an hour, kick, do something right. Like, just the way he handles those certain moments, incredible.
Well, does KP have that space if Gamble doesn't create it for him?
Nope.
Amazing. What do you think seeing Gamble live?
If you told me 12 months ago that the Raiders season was going to be ended by Tyson Gamble, I'd have told you to get off the devil's lettuce. His transformation's been incredible, hasn't it? And week in, week out, like, it's not a flashy moment here or a flashy moment there. He's such a competitor. One of these blokes who may not be the most talented player on the field, but he just, like, real Josh Reynolds vibes, just goes and goes and goes, and just his sheer amount of energy and on ball, and it's going to lead to good things just through effort.
Isn't it crazy that he was the 5'8" in that game? The halfback didn't come out in the second half, and I personally, I didn't panic.
Yeah.
I just went, no, they'll be okay.
They'll be good.
Unbelievable to consider.
We know he's a goer. We know he brings a good attitude, but the silkiness in his ball playing, it has shocked me. It was only 2 weeks ago he threw one of the best over-the-top balls to Dom Young. you can see. I'm so happy to be wrong about Tyson Gamble, and it's such an example of sometimes players just need a fair shot at an environment that makes them feel valued, and you can get the best out of them.
You know what else I love about Tyson Gamble is that I reckon he's gone to a new level since Cogger signed.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, okay, there's the challenge.
Because right now, even though Cogger's been really good at Panthers, surely you can't.
You could not possibly
push
pick
Gamble
Cogger
out.
over Gamble next
There's
year.
no way after everything he's done at the
I've
club.
said for a number of years, Kempy, that with halves in particular, probably more than any other position on the field, because it takes time to get combinations going and find your feet with new people around you, you have to give them time to settle in.
Yep.
This notion of bringing halves in for 2 games or 3 games and they don't go that well, so you flick them out, try someone new, then try someone new. Look at the Tigers chopping and changing every second week. Granted, there's a few injuries and whatnot, but they need time to settle in. They need a vote of confidence where the coach needs to go to them, mate, you've got the spot for 2 months, 8 weeks, whatever it might be, even like 6 weeks to a less degree. Go out, play some footy, give them confidence to do their job. Because when they're in there going, I don't know if I'm going to be here next week or the week after, it never works out.
Yeah.
But Gambler's a perfect example where Adam O'Brien's given him that vote of confidence. He's stuck with him and he's reaping the rewards. He's killing it.
It's so good to see. So good. So happy for him. At 7, there was some fierce debate in the green room before this. Guru tried to punch me. Nearly hurt the beak. Nearly the signature beak was broken in half.
I wanted Sam Walker in there.
Okay. Cleary or Reynolds? I think the whole rugby league community is split on who played better. Here's my take on it. And I get it. People are going to say Broncos bias. All right, whatever. And maybe there is bias. Maybe there's subconscious bias that I'm not aware of. If that's the case, all good. But individually, I do believe Cleary played a better game of rugby league. When you look at what did he do on that rugby league field individually. But not only did I feel like Reynolds played well individually, but the direction he gave a team against the Melbourne Storm that was essentially full strength against a side that's beaten Brisbane so many times to keep them to 26-0 and these huge plays in huge moments. That's why I had Reynolds at 7 over Cleary, even though individually, obviously Cleary had more consistent moments. But I just think that Reynolds steered the ship unbelievably well on the weekend against a not red hot, but a Storm that was a premiership threat.
For those playing at home in the green room, we decided one would be 7 and one would be 14, and we've still argued this for 45 minutes. It's unreal. I thought Cleary, understand your points, but I thought that game that he played was close to a 10 out of 10. Just undeniable for me. But Adam Reynolds, I thought that dropout, that's one of the plays of the season.
It's outrageous.
That's in the wets. I think anyone that doesn't appreciate that, it's probably a good sign you got no idea what you're talking about.
Well, what I loved the most about it was Munster does this delicate little chip where you go, fuck, what a kick from Munster. Huge play, Broncos under the pump. Reno goes, oh, you think that's good? Boom. Over Munster's head. Out. Incredible stuff. Who do you have at 7?
Yeah, look, taking nothing away from what Adam Reynolds did, incredible performance, but I thought it was a knockout Nathan Cleary, to be honest. He, like you mentioned, doing it against a Melbourne Storm outfit who have a good track record against the Broncos. They beat them a couple of weeks ago, albeit very different sides at Suncorp Stadium. But I think that's probably a bit harsh on the Warriors who, yes, missing Sean Johnson, but I'd argue the Warriors have been better than the Storm this season. Nathan Cleary was freakish in that game. He was just pulling strings, doing exactly what he wanted to do. Ran for almost 200 metres, 6 from 6 goals, one of the great NRL finals tries. Granted, back into the game was done. Kicked for over 500 metres. Nathan Cleary, perfect.
Who'd you have, Matty?
Yep, I had Cleary as well. I thought Reynolds had a 9.5 out of 10 game, but as Guru said, I thought Cleary was 10 out of 10. He was absolutely amazing. And yeah, I think if Rugby League Week was still around, that would have been a perfect game. He's just a different beast when it comes to finals.
And you add in, he didn't have his old sparring partner, Jerome Luai, on the other side of the field. So he had to change that. We'll get to that game a little bit, very shortly, but he changed his game. He played so much on the left side of the field without Luai there, and he killed it on that side as well. So
here's a good question, and it means nothing because it's just we will never know. Do you think he could have done that against the Melbourne Storm?
That Melbourne Storm the other night, without a doubt.
Well, that Melbourne Storm, you can't say that Melbourne Storm because Broncos had a big say in the way that they played. But just against the Melbourne Storm.
Yeah, but I think the Penrith Pack would have also bullied that Melbourne side too, I think.
Yeah.
As much as the Broncos did?
In finals footy,
I don't know.
they've done it 3 years in a trot.
I don't know. I think that the Melbourne Storm, I disagree. I think that they've been a better side than the Warriors this year. I think the Warriors have been incredible. But I think the Melbourne Storm are I think that if the Melbourne Storm played the Warriors in finals footy, I'd be backing the Melbourne Storm to get the job done. But this is a democracy. And also, the rule, it's usually based mainly around individual efforts. Nathan Cleary is the number 7 for Team of the Week. At 8, Payne Haas. Do any more Bronco hate?
Yeah, we weren't happy about this one either.
So do you just want to kick him out too? No, I think that it's all subjective in regards to the Cleary argument, because I think it really all matters. How good do you think the Storm are, and how good do you think the Warriors are? And I think we all have Warriors and Storm for example, you feel like Warriors have been better this year. So it all depends on the competition. But individually, Cleary was fucking perfect game. What more could you ask from him? At 8, Haas. At 9, Phoenix Crossland. 90 minutes in the middle, 60 tackles in a finals game.
Keen to hear Timmy's thoughts, because I reckon I had 5 people that were at the game yesterday who messaged me just about Phoenix, that they just watched him all game, and they said it was like there was 3 or 4 of them. Maybe one of them was sitting in the crowd though.
I can confirm, boys, Phoenix is just as good looking in real life as he's on TV.
Mate, he... Again, we talk about some of the top 5 stories in rugby league this year when you talk about a player's development. Phoenix Crossland's also one of those players. To think he'd be making 60 tackles in the middle, 90 minutes in a finals game, amazing. Special shout out though to Brandon Smith. I thought he was really good for the Roosters. At 10, it's my boy Terrell May. I try to tell you guys. No one wants to listen to the big. No one wants to listen. Oh, Terrell May, what are you talking about, big? Terrell May was outstanding on the weekend, and there's an argument to be made. If he doesn't come on and make his big plays, they might not win that game. I thought Terrell May was outstanding.
It's one of your better calls of the season.
Oh, thanks, Guru. Appreciate that, mate. You're not the only one that can make some could be anything calls, mate. Just so you know.
Yeah,
Speaking of,
here we go. Here we go. I'll let you do this one, Guru. At number 11.
Yeah, Wong, big game on the weekend. Obviously scored that try. There was a bit of a rebound there. I think you'll find, though, he's one of those guys the ball just bounces to. The ball just goes to his, you saw at the end of the game, the charge down. I think it was Luke Keary. Cronulla players all circled the ball. Who did it go to?
Yeah.
Wong. He's just one of those guys. Mate, I thought the offload that he came up with early in the game to Manu, he was getting tackled. He was on halfway and he flicked it around his back.
And timed it so Manu caught it as he was running into it. Manu didn't have to reach back for anything like that.
That was hyperbolic, whatever. That was the closest play I've seen to what Sonny Bill used to do.
Yeah, that's fair.
Sonny Bill. That's fair. Insane.
It was so good. And also, it was all the other stuff, not even the big plays that I like from Wong. He played so well that I almost got drawn into the hype of could he play centre? Could he be this new kind of damaging, huge centre that just steamrolls blokes?
He could play centre.
He was fucking unbelievable out there.
Said it a few times before, but what that does for Trent Robinson, having a back rower that he can throw to centre to do a job, geez, it goes a long way.
Oh, changes your bench, changes outside. It's 100%.
I think 13's his best position too.
Mate, imagine him with 2 or 3 pre-seasons with getting his ball play, because he's clearly got the hit, the hand-eye coordination and the motor skills to be a good ball player. It's just a matter of whether you can work hard. So yeah, he was outstanding. And funnily enough, Trent Robinson said after the game in the presser, after the game, he's like, "Oh, coach, do you need me to play fullback next week?" You know what? I'm backing him in if he does.
He's going to be an interesting guy because he went through Scots. He played a lot of Union. That next home World Cup, I reckon by then he's going to be a prime target for them.
Yeah. At 12, Liam Martin. Jeez, doesn't he just sniff finals footy? It's like he plays good all year, solidly, and then finals footy rolls around and he grows a whole other leg. It's unbelievable. At 13, Carrigan. I thought Carrigan was absolutely phenomenal for the Brisbane Broncos. And Isaiah Yeo was really good for the Panthers, but I just thought Carrigan was truly... He is a guy where they don't win 26-0 if he doesn't put that work in that first half.
He's a proper September footballer, isn't he?
Far out. His motor is unbelievable. At 14, Reynolds. At 15, Lindsay Collins. 16, Fisher Harris. And at 17, I'll give you the honour, Timmy. 17.
Our Lord and Saviour, Elliot Whitehead. Killed it.
Now, it's time for Menulog Hungriest Player of the Week. Now, I actually had made a selection, but I think you guys might have talked me out of it, which is unfortunate because we already put the code in. Anyway, Menulog Hungriest Player of the Week is... Listeners, who do you reckon it is?
Adam Marietta.
There's some big candidates this week. No, Menulog Hungriest Player of the Week, a mixture of how well he played, but also just the grit and determination to do what he did. It is Paddy Carrigan. He's our Hungriest Player of the Week. Use code Carrigan, CARRIGAN, for free delivery when you spend $15 or more. Mate, Paddy Carrigan, as I said, like you could go, who was the best player of the weekend? You could go Cleary for sure. But I just think the amount of work that Carrigan got through in that first half was nothing short of incredible. Like I'm trying to think of a 13 that has done that recently. I was sitting there going, surely he's going to gas soon. Surely they're going to have to pull him off.
He just brings his shovel every week, doesn't he?
Far out. What do you boys think of Carrigan's?
Him and Payne Haas are so different yet so similar. I don't remember being more confident that a bloke's never going to play a bad game of footy in his career. And it's the same with Payne Haas. They're never going to not turn up to a game and go, oh, he was quiet or had a bad game.
Yeah. Paddy Carrigan's career is really interesting because if you go back and watch some of his early games, you could see he was a leader. You could see he was a dog. He'd get through a bunch of work. But he had quite a few errors in his game. You know, he would almost just go too hard and fatigue himself. Similarly-ish to Tino to a degree where he would have a few errors because he was going so hard. But I agree with you. It's getting to the point with Paddy where, and Payne obviously, but Paddy specifically, you can almost guarantee he will be the best player or one of the best players on the field in a big match. Well,
it used to be early on in his career, not that he's old by any means, but it was, you're like, all right, he could just be one of these club legends, awesome bloke, good leader, real Josh Jackson vibes, let's call it, of just toiler, does the hard yards, but it was that Origin Series last year, wasn't it, where he came in and played off the bench, I think game one, was it, and just bent the line and turned the game on its head. Pretty much since that series, it's been like, no, he's not just a battler and does the hard yards. He bends the line. Everything he does is at quality. Far out, he's good.
Yeah. He's one of those guys, too, that he would be one of the best Broncos in any team. For the Broncos ever. Like, he fits right in with the very best of them.
That's like when you look at some of these Broncos players, you got to ask yourself, would they make the 98 to 2006 kind of side? And if you say they would, like, you're talking about one of the best in the game kind of stuff.
Compliment.
And that's Paddy Carrigan and Payne Haas. Like they're genuine. They're two current starters that I would argue in any era would land in a top 17 for the Broncos side.
As much as I don't want to see it because you would be insufferable, but they're two guys that I would love to see win a premiership because they were both there in the dark days.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's been so evident that those two have led them out of it.
Yeah.
As I said, guys, if you're looking at the best player of the week, obviously it's Cleary. Well, not obviously, but Cleary was incredible. But a mixture of the best player, but also the hungriest, I think Paddy Carrigan. I know people are going to be like, should have got Cleary. I think Carrigan was the hungriest player. Now, the Rugby World Cup is underway. Cheer on your team in the 2023 Rugby World Cup on Stan Sport, the only place to watch every match ad-free in 4K Ultra HD. Live and on demand is on the home of rugby, Stan Sport. Add Stan Sport package now at stan.com.au/sport. Now, Guru, there's a bit of could be anything chat last week. Now, did that come through or not come through?
Yeah, Benny Donaldson was my could be anything. I think it was 2 weeks ago. And, mate, I almost didn't say it on the show 2 weeks ago because he got picked almost in the extended squad. Then out of nowhere, he was named at fullback for their first game. And the Wallabies, if people haven't caught up, they obviously one of the biggest challenges in world sport on the weekend, taking on Georgia in the rugby union. And Benny Donaldson, I think he came up with the 4th most points ever in a game by a Wallabies player at a World Cup.
I tell you what, Guru.
Special stuff.
If coaches and clubs aren't reaching out for your scouting abilities, I mean, you've gone fucking just 6 for 6 for 6 for the last 24 months.
Yeah, it's been a big over.
Dual code specialist.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, there's dual code internationals. And then there's dual code could be anything, or scouts. Dual code scout.
Dual code scout.
You're the first ever dual code scout.
Yeah, we'll take it.
I like that. I wonder if you had to see me playing soccer and said, you know what, that kid could play a bit of footy.
Maybe.
Hey, you know what? Maybe you were the one that tipped the Broncos onto a young beak flying down a Brisbane Lions or a Brisbane Roar. sideline. Okay, let's get straight into it. I know people would be absolutely stinging. Broncos defeat the Storm 26-0. What an incredible performance by the Broncos. You know, all the questions about the youth and will they crumble in a finals game and the hoodoo with the Storm. You know, we discussed the fact that I felt the youth was on their side. I actually felt that they hadn't been scarred by the Storm. They didn't go through the dark period against the Storm. They're getting dominated by Cam Smith, Cooper Cronk, Billy Slater. And so heading into this game, I knew they'd be up for it. And they absolutely delivered. Now, did I think they'd win 26-0? The only way I thought they'd win 26-0 is if they played the best they can play. What I'm, I guess, surprised at is I actually think they've still got a little bit more in them, especially in that first half with some of their decisions at the end of the sets when they were building pressure. But an absolutely incredible performance by the Broncos and just showing that they're, I mean, I've spoken about it a few times, but Cam Smith always has said, you usually play your finals footy the way you played your season. That's usually the way it is. And before the game last week, we spoke about, look, if you compare these two clubs' seasons, Broncos have been a substantially better side. And look, I understand that they went down to Melbourne, they lost to the Storm earlier in the year. There was a very bizarre game. I think there were 2 sin bins, whatever. But when you just look at their seasons as a whole, Broncos have been a substantially better side. And I kind of felt like they delivered that on Friday.
Yeah, I think shout out to you two. You two were very, very confident that the Brisbane Broncos, you know, finals wouldn't worry them. I still was concerned whether they were going to be able to do what they've done all year. And, mate, they put all my concerns to bed very quickly. They were very impressive, Brisbane. I was actually sitting there watching the game thinking, if you gave me no context and you told me one of these two teams hadn't played finals footy in 4 years, I would have guessed the Melbourne Storm every day of the week. If you told me that their entire spine, essentially, except outside of Adam Reynolds, hadn't played finals footy, I would have said it's the Melbourne Storm. They just got played off the park, Melbourne.
This is how aggressive the forward pack were. And I was concerned the first 10 minutes because I'm like, please don't go half for 10 minutes and then you blow your load and then you gas for the rest of the game. But it was 80 minutes of just relentless defence. And a lot of people will point to the attack of the Broncos, but I thought it was their defence that was incredible. Defence was amazing. Timmy, what do you think?
Yeah, it didn't entirely surprise me, the result. Probably the 0 points for the Storm. That definitely came as a surprise with the amount of strike power they've got. But I dribble on a fair bit on this potty. But the one thing I sort of keep mentioning, particularly with the Melbourne Storm this year, is that, you know, if your forward pack loses through the middle, there's not much that your stars out the back can do. And this was a great example of it. Despite having Hughes, Munster, Pappy, all these guns out the back, their pack was dominated. And you can't do anything if you don't have the momentum through the middle of the field. And Brisbane have been consistent all season. The Melbourne Storm have been up and down. They finished the season well, but we've had queries over their pack all season. And you mentioned, Kempy, you know, your season's a reflection of how you go in week 1 of finals, and the Storm's pack couldn't aim up to Brisbane. And sure, it's a bit of a knock on the Storm, but it's also a compliment to how bloody good this Brisbane Broncos forward pack is.
Yeah. And what I loved and I thought was really interesting, if you watch closely, the Panthers and the Broncos, their first contact is substantially better than any club in the competition. If you go back and watch those games now, the Panthers and the Broncos, every time whoever they were playing, the Storm and the Warriors, the first contact, they would immediately stop them. Like there would be no post-contact meters. It would be just boom, hit and stop. And it was interesting because I watched a little clip of Shane Webke talking to Payne Haas, and I'll tell you what, did that give me goosebumps watching Shane Webke talk to Payne Haas. And Webby said something really simple, and it almost sounded a bit like, well, obviously, bro. But he basically said to Payne, have you spoken about how important it is, of course, to run through them and whatever, but have you spoken about how important it is to stop them as soon as you hit them? Because that's something that we always used to speak about as a Broncos forward pack. And it is a really important point that I think seems simple but is really hard to execute. And I thought the Broncos did. For example, even though Nelson was probably their best forward coming off the bench, I thought the Broncos did an incredible job on their contact on Nelson Asafa-Solomona.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, when he came on in the first half, he played 14 minutes in the first half. He ran for 50 metres. So I sort of thought, okay, maybe Nas can sort of get on the front foot here. But in the second half, mate, Brisbane just dominated them, didn't they? And I think that was, you know, the big thing that stood out for me. We'll talk about the Panthers game soon, but the Panthers and the Broncos, just the amount of pressure they put on the opposition in the first half and how they just gassed out their forward pack in the first half, and it paid dividends later in the game.
I've got a feeling you're about to read out the same stat. No?
Potentially. Completion.
Okay,
Or
no.
you got meters?
All right.
No,
He's
I
got
was
Jordan Rapana stats on it.
Just got a picture. Were you going to do
jumper
meters?
breaks, 3,000 metres.
Were you going to do meters?
We at the rage it. I was going to talk about the Melbourne Storm. I thought them going into this fixture would be going, all right, let's turn this into a Melbourne Storm, an old school grind, and make it a dogfight through the middle. We mentioned, I think, last week that if they can do that, it'll allow for Munster, Hughes to produce their magic late on. It was a pretty scrappy opening of this game, both sides, a lot of drop ball. The Storm ended up completing at 67%, which is pretty damn ordinary. So there'd obviously been that bit of rain come through early in the game and prior to the game. I don't think either team's adjusted to that early on. The Broncos did make changes. They did complete at 75 by the end of the game. They made the right moves, but the Storm, they were a long way from their best. They were disappointing in this one.
So in regards to that first contact, so in the forward pack for the Melbourne Storm, 98 metres for Kamikamitha, 44 metres for Harry Grant, 67 metres for Christian Welsh, 54 metres for Trent Leoro, 77 metres for Katoa, 95 metres for King. The only forward, and then you got Eisenhuth, 47 metres. The only forward to break 100 metres was Nelson Asafa-Solomona with 104 metres, and he had 11 runs. So even Nelson Asafa-Solomona averaged less than 10 metres a run against the Broncos.
And he was on 50 at half time.
Yeah.
And he only played the last 14 minutes of that half. So that entire second half, they kept him 50 metres.
Which is just, it shows you how, like, even Tarek Sims come on 78 metres. Like, some of their post-contact, was pretty low, like Welsh 24, Leoro 14, Katoa 27, King 30, Eisenhuth 16. Like, that shows you that the first contact from the Broncos was unbelievable. Like, so spot on. And I do think that the Storm definitely didn't play anywhere near what we know they can play. But I think a lot of it, not all of it, definitely not all of it, but I think a lot of it had to do with the Broncos just putting so much pressure on them. Like, a lot of their drop balls, not a lot of them, but some of them were just pressure passes. And that's just because the line's in your face, making you make decisions you don't want to make early on. But yeah, so I thought that was a really interesting stat, whereas you compare to obviously the Broncos forwards. You've got Flegler over 100 metres, Billy Walters 42, Payne Haas 180, Catewell 82, Ricky 50, Patrick Cavering 193, Hetherington 140, Palacia 153. Like, chalk and cheese, really, like, just completely different. But let's talk about first the Brizzy Broncos individual efforts.
Can I just jump in? Just one thing about Brisbane as a team that I was thinking about the other day, and Kempi, you know more than me, but I was just looking at them the other night, and I don't remember them playing a wet weather game in quite some time.
Yeah.
And for them to play that game in the wet weather, huge advantage that if they do manage to get to a grand final in a few weeks' time, it is a wet weather game. Because quite often down here in Sydney for grand final, a lot of them have been played in the rain. I was just having a look through their last 8 games. It's their first, according to NRL.com, there's just a thing that says the weather. First time they've played in the wet. So for them to also be able to transition what they've been doing the last few weeks and adapt with that, huge for them as well.
Yeah, huge. And when you think of the Broncos, you don't think grindy, tough wet weather. You think fast track, Reece Walsh out the back. So it's good to see them be able to, we spoke about it earlier in the year, but like winning in different ways.
Yeah,
and they've proven they can really win in different ways, different environments. But yeah, with the Broncos, first of all, incredible game. Now, the negatives, we'll go through the negatives first. I do think in the first half, there were at least 3 to 4 times where they were looking for points instead of building pressure. And they looked a little bit panicky at the start. Not panicky in defence, but I mean panicky. They've got the Storm on their try line and they're going for the big play rather than just going, you know what, boys, let's just grub her in and let's just build some pressure. And I think that's, at the moment, the only thing that separates Panthers and Broncos is those 3 or 4 decisions early in the game to build pressure. And if they can sort that, then it's a 50-50 match against the Panthers.
Agreed, 100% Kempy. Yeah. First 20-odd, completion wasn't great. They were pretty scrappy. But credit to them for digging themselves out and going, guys, something needs to change here. Stop being flashy. Stop going for the big play. Get in the grind. They did.
Yeah, and then the points come. The points come. We'll talk first about Reece Walsh. I thought this was such a mature game from Reece Walsh. I said last week that he just needs to be patient and just run the ball in the first half. Don't even think about, the big plays. And there were a few times where he could have made those, try to make huge plays, but he just put his head down and ran the ball. Oh no.
Carry on.
Carry on, we're all good.
It's not like I bought this laptop 2 weeks ago. $2,000.
We've had a little bit of spill in the studio. What is that?
Drama.
Is that tea? Is that tea you spilt on this?
How do MacBooks handle green tea, boys?
Oh no.
Oh no.
So Reece Walsh, I said, if I was going to give him advice heading into the game, it would be just run the ball in the first half, because I guarantee you'll come out in the second half, later in the game, a couple of try assists, they will happen. And what do you know? He comes out in the second half and the space just opened up for him. Because he had ran the ball and been quite conservative in the first half, he'd create an environment where they either had to come in on him or had to make sure they, marked up on him well. And what do you know? His first try, it's people coming in off angles and basically being turned in and being easy to kind of step. I thought Reece Walsh showed so much maturity in this game.
I already complimented you on your call on Terrell May, and I did not enjoy that. But it was like Reece Walsh listening to the podcast last week. It honestly was. The way that he played his game, I was just sitting there watching it going, he is literally just doing the hard stuff, easing his way into the game. And the thing that stood out for me this year with Reece Walsh, especially in Origin and now in the next biggest game of his career, essentially, he just pulls the trigger at the right moment.
Oh, mate.
It was honestly, as soon as that set of 6 started where he scored, I feel like even just everyone sitting at home went, oh, this feels like a Reece Walsh moment.
Yeah.
This feels like the moment that he's going to get them. Obviously scored himself, then pulled the trigger on Jordan Ricky there. Exactly what he did in Origin as well.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
To make that decision when he gets that 3-on-3 and turns into 3-on-2 every time because he's so quick, the speed he's going at to sum it up and go short, long, or Damien Gray himself, he gets it right every time.
Yeah, every time. Even the decision to step back inside. He could have chosen to go over the top or try and make the big play, but he just goes, nah, bang, bang, thanks for coming. His ability to nail big moments, it's shocking how quickly he's being able to just nail it. How many times do we see young players come into these games, and we saw it on the weekend, and the big moment arrives, it's a knock on. It's the pass goes over the sideline. Mate, he has nailed, in such a short career, he has absolutely nailed some big moments, and I just love the maturity he played. Now, again, the biggest thing with Reece, in my opinion, is we know he's great. We know the standard he can play at is as good as anyone in the competition. So we know if he gets into a grand final, he's good enough to be the best player on the field. But it's just about, okay, all the headlines are the Broncos are the real deal. They can win a premiership, and Reece Walsh up in lights, superstar. And I know he's already kind of dealt with it, but this is the moment where the whole team, including Reece, just need to take a step back and be like, boys, we haven't done anything yet. It's almost as if we bow out in the prelim, it's almost worse than getting beaten by the Storm at home. You just need to just rein everything in and don't start reading into the hype too soon. I think that's the biggest concern for the Broncos.
Yeah, from just a spectator, part of me doesn't want Reece Walsh to rein it in, though. I just love watching him go about his business, And from a Broncos perspective, I get that 100%. But I loved. You could see in this game, he identified that Eli Katoa was off his game. So went at him.
Yeah.
Went at him. Then the moment came where he kicked deep and Eli Katoa just couldn't help himself. He goes, fuck, this is my chance to whack this kid. It's a penalty 60 metres down the field.
Yeah. In a crucial
Reece Walsh
moment.
earned that 3 sets before getting under his skin.
Yeah. Yeah. He played so well and just really mature. Just really, really mature. So, as I said, if he just keeps playing like this where he allows the game to open up to him, he'll end it with 3 or 4 tries, 4 or 5 tries. It's going to be something special. Who stood out for you boys for the Brisbane Broncos?
Yeah, Reece Walsh, obviously. Adam Reynolds, we sort of already touched on him, but sorry to bring it back to it again. That line drop out,
it's outrageous.
It is just to do a line drop out nowadays and hit it 50 metres on the full. These guys make it look so easy. To then hit it 50 metres to the sideline in the rain and just pop it over Munster's head. That was a huge moment in that game. Cam Munster forced a line drop out from 40 metres out. That was a complete momentum swing. That was when I went, okay, here we go. Munster's about to kick into gear here. It was a very, that's the sort of shit that JT used to do in games. Get it 40 metres out, there'd be nothing on, he'd just drop it perfectly. And Adam Reynolds just goes, and I was talking to Matty about it this morning, and Matty said, well, how'd you describe it about how he used to do this for South Sydney?
When he did big moments in that for South, he'd always kind of pulled the trigger on him in big games. So he's done a few of these, not to that extent. That's the best I've ever seen. but he'd always wait till like the big important games to do these huge moments. So he's probably had like that like in the back pocket for a while now. There was an example a few years ago, like Reynolds' best ever 40-20s were both against the Panthers in the finals a couple of years ago. He just finds a way to pull these out in the big games. It's crazy.
He's just always got an ace up his sleeve.
Yeah.
But
Just
that's
waiting for the moment.
that's a good playmaker, isn't it? They'd have all these tricks up their sleeve. They'd be going, no, look, it achieves nothing doing it in round 23 or round 15. Let's save it for finals when no one sees it coming.
Isn't it like, I'll be the first to admit, last year I was like, Rabbitohs made the right call. Everyone won. Broncos won. Rabbitohs won. Lachie Ellis is, playing some really good footy. They made a prelim. But then you see Reynolds come out and do this now. You go, oh, was I wrong in thinking that they'd made the right call? Was I too early to decide whether that call was made? Because he doesn't look like he's slowing down. He doesn't look like he went into this match against a Melbourne Storm. We're talking about a side notoriously for taking out the big players from each side. And look, it's all speculation. I don't know what's going on, but you have to start wondering, like, was Reno kind of like the glue, like the unknown glue in that South roster? Was he kind of the guy that, didn't get the praise? I mean, he got praise. He was liked by Rabbitohs fans, but was he less of the superstar? But was he the guy that kept the balance between all the other superstars? Because look at the balance he's created at the Brisbane Broncos. You got Reece Walsh out the back there, very easily could get ahead of himself. You've got guys like Carrigan, Haas, both superstars, Flegler, superstar. You've got outside backs like Staggs, like your Selwyn Cobbo, and every single one of them loves Reno, loves him. And I do think that we're beginning to see that he probably didn't get enough appreciation for what he brought off the field at the Rabbitohs. And he's starting to get appreciation at the Broncos. And I do believe, let's say, and it's a long way till we get there, if they win a grand final, we need to rethink who the best seven was in the last X amount of years. And we need to rethink Renault's entire career, because it goes from premiership to a bunch of prelims to 2 premierships and a bunch of prelims, which is up there with some of the best records of a seven in a while.
Without a doubt, especially if, without getting ahead of ourselves, if he manages to beat the Panthers in a GF, like if he takes down Nathan Cleary in a grand final, that pushes Adam Reynolds into the stratosphere.
It changes his whole, the whole way you look at his career.
Yep.
Completely changes, in my opinion.
And also consider, consider, he's got a rookie at fullback, he's got a rookie at 5'8", he's got a 5'8" playing hooker, and another hooker that hasn't really played much first.
Like his spine's not, it's not like the Melbourne Storm spine or the Roosters spine.
That was my point going to be. You look at the blokes we're talking about, the best halves of recent years, the last decade or so, and you've got Cooper Cronk and Nathan Cleary, who did what they did in unbelievable rugby league teams. And that's fine. They play what they've got around them. They've killed it. I'm not stupid. Like, Reynolds had a really good team at the Bunnies. He's got a good team at the Broncos, but nowhere near the levels of what the other two I've just mentioned were playing with. And to have that success, as you said, it'd be... He needs, in terms of legacies and that sort of thing at his age, at 33 years old, before he retires, an icing on the cake, and that would be a Brisbane Broncos premiership. But to do it with the sides he's done it with, comparatively, and sure, there's been a few come up just short with prelim finals, but prelim finals year after year after year, it's still a pretty bloody good effort consistently.
Yeah.
But you need to tip it off with a couple of premierships to say, no, like, there's big games in there and you can go all the way.
And also keep in mind, this Broncos team is very good, but when he arrived there, they had the wooden spoon.
Yeah, for sure. They proved that you can have a great roster, but the seven is so important.
Yeah.
You're going to talk, Matty?
Bit of a stat on Reynolds, just going back to South a bit. So he was there from 2012 to 2021. Every year that he played 22 or more games, they made the prelim or further. Every year less than that, the furthest they got was week 1 of the finals.
I think if he wins another comp, I think it will reshape the way we look at his career. As I said, not the top tier of like Cleary, Cronk or whatever, but I do think that, put it this way, by winning a comp at Brisbane, it actually makes his win in 2014 even better, because you go, oh, actually he was a huge reason why they did that. So I'm just such a fan of Renault, and it's incredible what they're achieving. I thought Billy Walters had some really good moments too. Jordan Riki, hasn't he had such a great year? Just getting more mature every single match.
There was a couple of moments last year where he scored tries, and I think sometimes you can see, or sometimes I take impressions of guys based on how they celebrate tries and how they react from certain things. And there was a couple of things that annoyed me with Jordan Ricky last year that I just sort of thought, I don't know what sort of a guy, how he fits into this team and everything. But, mate, it's all completely flipped. It has all completely flipped. He has just become an all-team player. I didn't expect him to be this good, to be honest with you.
I knew he could be good individually, but what's shocked me and I'm so impressed by is exactly what you just said. He's a full-on team player now.
Yep.
Like, he doesn't go for the glory plays anymore, or, you know, it's all about him and he's skipping across fending people trying to get extra meters. He does all the tough carries. He finds his front, but also his kick chase. It's probably the best in the comp for a wide running forward. It is unbelievable. Like, early in the game, he is sprinting down there to put pressure on. If your fore-in gets up and gets in the face of the kicker, or the catcher, it takes away, it honestly saves nearly 10 metres. It's unbelievable.
I've been loving the evolution of Billy Walters as number 9 this season, and there was a moment there just before half-time on the Storm 30-metre line. He went from dummy half, he went short side. He had a few different options, summed it up, saw no winger back in the corner, full-back, caught out of place, stitched it in the back right corner, repeat set. Yeah. It was just on a dime.
Yep.
I went, it's a bloke who played a lot of half-back, he's making this transition to number 9. Fire, he's come a long way.
Another shout I want to give, Kobe Hetherington came on and was unbelievable. Unbelievable. Like, the tough carries he took and the momentum that he picked up, it was phenomenal. And he's a guy that he got an injury this year, so he kind of he came onto the scene, and he was playing so well at one period that I actually had him as my starting 13 and Paddy and Haas as my starting front rowers with Flegler coming on. But his impact off the bench was outstanding on the weekend.
A lot of premiership teams have players like him. Like, he sort of reminds me of sort of the role that Ryan Hinchcliffe used to play for the Melbourne Storm back in the day. Just underappreciated, but tough as nails, and you more so notice when they're not there than when they are there because they leave a bit of a hole. He's been really good for you guys.
Mate, 38 minutes, 16 runs, 140 metres, 54 post contact, 4 tackle breaks, 14 tackles, 0 misses. Like, you talk about impact. And then you go to this other player, Keenan Palacia, 42 minutes, 17 runs, 153 metres, 60 post contact, 18 tackles. Like, that is great off the bench. And I think Palacia is going to be really, really missed. A lot is talked about Flegler, and, there's no denying Flegler is a massive, massive loss next year. But I think Palacia, he is a great signing for the Titans. A really, really good signing.
Mate, the other one I was impressed with, and to be completely honest with you, I didn't know why he was in the team 6 weeks ago, Tyson Smoothie.
Mate, he's improved so much.
He came on.
That first game that he played, I was like he did not click at all. I mean, I thought he needed more time in reserve grade. He's been outstanding.
It's been great.
Coming off the bench. So, yeah, amazing stuff. What is there to say? That was one of the better Broncos finals performance, to be honest. Like, I'm trying to think of at least in recent memory, I can't remember a time where, Broncos usually have a tendency in recent memory, if they did make a finals, it'd be a bit messy or whatever. This was a clinical, absolute domination.
You've got a Melbourne Storm side with Ryan Pappenhausen, Cameron Munster, Jerome Hughes, Harry Grant, and kept them to 0 points. Enough said.
Incredible. Now, onto the Storm. First of all, seriously one of the most heartbreaking things that I've seen on a footy field, seeing Pappy go down like that. Just couldn't believe it. It actually dampened the victory a little bit for me as a Broncos fan. Like, obviously I was still really happy that we won, excited, but it just took a bit of the fun out of it. But they think that he may be back ready for round 1. But yeah, we just want to send our best wishes to Ryan Pappenhausen. Super unlucky.
It's almost hard to put into words how bad we all felt.
Oh.
It was. I couldn't believe how much an effect it actually had on me. I was beside myself.
I was genuinely upset that night.
I was borderline about to cry. So wasn't it an incredible response from the NRL community? Players get injured all the time. Popular players get injured all the time. Pappy, I know he'd come off a lengthy layoff, but it was like the NRL community just stopped and was sick.
Yeah.
It shows the impact of how good a bloke Ryan Pappenhausen is.
Real gentleman of the game. Just such a good guy and an inspiration for young kids. If you want to have a guy that you can show all the incredible stuff, all the highlights, but also the tough stuff and about turning up, about sticking to things and not letting, setbacks stop you from achieving what you want to achieve. Pappy's your man. Now, let's get to the Melbourne Storm. I felt the Broncos definitely forced them into certain areas, but what I found, I guess, most striking was how out of sync their spine looked. Like, I think that because they get away with it so much and they're so good, they're the Melbourne Storm, but it's not enough is said by the fact that they essentially have two fullbacks, 6 and 7. Obviously, Meany fullback at fullback. Well, you could argue, is he a fullback? Is he a winger? But fullback. Then you've got Grant. But they've made it work so well for so long, and it still can work for sure. This is not me going, oh, you should have seen that it couldn't work. But I did feel that because they are so unorthodox, when it goes wrong, it goes horribly wrong, because it's such a unique setup that you don't find at any other club. Like, Jerome Hughes is not a standard 7. He's a very unique 7. Cameron Munster, not structured at all. But I did feel watching on the weekend, instead of it going a little bit wrong, it went really wrong because they were so out of sync. What do you boys think?
Yeah, it's a good point because, I always look at the Melbourne Storm and go, geez, 3 of the spine players can play poorly, and it normally doesn't matter. Because if one of them plays all right,
I thought that.
Gives a shit, they're fine. But this game, they were all off. I was, Harry Grant in particular, I thought his service was so unlike
He looked
Harry
tired.
Grant.
He looked tired.
It was, and it wasn't through a lack of effort. You could tell he was trying his heart out, but they look like a team that had been thrown together that week and were introducing themselves to each other. I couldn't believe how off the mark they were.
And that's it, Campbell. You mentioned that they're pretty unorthodox players in each position compared to what we traditionally see in 5'8", halfbacks. There's so much star power that they get away with it and it's fine, but when it goes wrong, it can go horribly wrong. They're all ball runners.
Yeah.
They're like Munster and Hughes, sure they have decent ball playing in them, but first and foremost, and Harry Grant as well, they're ball running players and that is their strength. So when it doesn't go right, it can look clunky, it can go badly. They were dominating the middle, so they're relying on trying to get a bit of second phasing or something. It was like the opportunities were so minimal.
And when you're dominated in the middle, your running game, you're on the back foot.
Yeah.
So you need ball playing to create space for you on the edges, and they've got ball playing, obviously. We're talking about the tippity top here. But they're first and foremost, their entire spine, including Meany, are ball runners. And I think that on the weekend we really saw it. Now, I don't know whether that was because of a crazy good game plan that Kevy Walters was able to put together that put them off. But they just, honestly, they look so... Wasn't a lack of trying, wasn't a lack of effort. They just look super, super out of sync, like crazy out of sync. I think Harry Grant looks super tired. I think he's had such a massive, last couple of years. You got the Origin, you got the World Cup, you're in the middle. And he's a unique 9 because he's so explosive and he relies so heavily on the physicality of the game that he definitely looked like a guy that just didn't have that same, I guess, energy he usually does bring in games. And it wasn't from a lack of trying, he just looked super tired.
And he has had a huge 2 years from finals to Origin series. You then got to throw in the World Cup. And as much as he has sort of job shared in all those rep games, he plays 80 minutes the vast majority of games for Melbourne. What do his numbers look like over the last few weeks?
So he played 22 NRL games this season. The only game he missed in he missed 2 games for the Storm. One was in round 16 when he was on Origin duty, and then he was rested in round 27. He averaged 76 minutes as a number 9 on top of Origin, on top of, as you said, Guru, the World Cup at the end of last year. I think the Storm really missed a beat roster-wise this season in not having an out-and-out backup 9 for Harry Grant, knowing that he's obviously going to be unavailable through the Origin period, and they had a few stopgap options to come in and help out. But because they were sitting, for a period there fighting for a top 8 spot, as the season went on, they were fighting for a top 4 spot and that second chance in finals. They weren't coasting in top 2 where they go, sweet, we can rest Munster here and rest Harry there. Because they didn't have a gun hooker to come in for him. He played everything in big minutes because they needed him to. So I think they need to go to market. I don't know if they've got anyone coming next year, but just someone who can come in and deputise for him. Someone like what Jake Turpin was able to do at the Roosters. And they don't have to be a superstar, but they can go, Harry, week off, you come in, play 80 minutes.
Go to Sharks, get that Q Cup, hook a Beryl.
Beryl would be a
The
good
Broncos
game.
got about 15 hookers.
Yeah.
Go one of them.
And I think the Storm, now maybe this is just a coincidence, but I think they kind of admitted that because towards the end of the year, what were they doing? They weren't starting Harry Grant. They were starting Garlic. And so maybe they'd identified oh, shit. And so although the Storm are still the best sporting franchise we've seen in quite a long time, I do think that their handling of Harry Grant this year, they have made a mistake.
There are a number of guys around the league that I like, even up at the Titans. You've got Chrissy Randall up there. He'd be a good fit. Just imagine if they would have made the play at the start of the year for like a Phoenix Crossland.
Oh, the GOAT.
Like there's a lot of nines around that they could go and get, even from South, like Havili, if they were to take him.
Yeah.
Plenty around. Cause
Even like at the Raiders, we're lacking a gun number 9, but we had Levi, Wolford, Tommy Starling, all these ones.
That's all you need.
All of these ones who could have been a tremendous backup for Harry.
You've got 3 great job share hookers.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm so strong on, I just don't know in the modern era whether you need to have a bloke playing 80 minutes in the middle there. I just don't know whether it's good for you long term. And Harry Grant, a perfect example of this, just so fatigued right now. Just so fatigued. And I get it, he's a unique situation because he's so physical. But I just think in the modern era, you need a rotation of 9s. Unless your name's Cameron Smith, I just don't know whether you're going to have the skill set and the game nous to be able to kind of, identify when to rest, identify when to go hard. And so I think that going forward, that just exactly what you said, Timmy, Harry Grant's clearly a long-term player for them. So you need to recruit for that. You need to recruit specifically for the fact that Harry Grant's your main guy. He's a marquee signing. He's a marquee player. So you need to recruit someone that gets the best out of him, which means that, he plays maybe 50 minutes a game. And they had that with the Cheese, ironically.
Yeah, he's going to play 3 games of Origin every year for the next 10 years.
Yeah, so you need to make sure that you can... you could even look at Reed at the Dogs. He fell off a cliff. And I know a lot of, Doggies fans are, I guess, not happy with his season, but I'd argue a lot to do with it was just playing these crazy long minutes. It just fatigues them in today's game anyway. They're too big and explosive. The game is so fast through the middle. I think that's a key recruit next year.
I caught in the Host Plus Cup a couple of weeks ago. The Falcons were playing the first week of finals and Wishart played hooker. I think it's one of the most dominant games I've seen by a player this year. He absolutely killed it. He had 2 line breaks, 3 line break assists, 2 try assists, kicked all of his goals. I think he's got a try in that too. So, they've got. I think they came into this season thinking they had Wishy and Bronson Garlick was the other one. And Bronson's played a bit of hooker in reserve grade over the last few years when he was at Canterbury. I don't think he's a 9 personally. I think he's more of a back rower. So
he came through as a back rower most of the time.
He's always been a back rower. I don't know why he plays hooker. I think that was because Canterbury had no other options and he's just handy at it. But he's not a first grade hooker. He's a good back rower, a good guy to bring off your bench. But Jaden Nicarima was the other one. I think that they potentially thought, but that hasn't quite played out either. But I agree. I think it's a good shout by Timmy. Go to market, find someone.
Yeah. And the thing is, they could find a bunch of 9s that would love to play at the Storm. They still are the Melbourne Storm. They still have that weight heading into a market transfer.
And you could even go for the Mitch Kenny approach. Just pass and make your tackles for the first 25.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's where I reckon a Chris Randall would be unreal.
Yeah. Yep. I do think that this match showed what we've been talking about for maybe 24 months now. This forward pack needs recruitment pretty desperately. I think that, once again, I think the Storm probably made maybe it's growing pains and they let go of all those, experienced players at once because they're trying to build for the future. So there's there's not probably a plan. There's definitely a plan. But I do think that this probably didn't happen the way they hoped it would in losing both Bromwich brothers and Kaufusi all at once and Dale Finucane and Tino the year before. I think they need to go into the market desperately for not quite a few, but 3 positions in a good world. 3 positions.
Well, look, even Nas, we mentioned how big a game on last week's podcast this was going to be for him because he needed to step up. Someone needed to step up with this Broncos pack. As we said, his numbers weren't enormous, but I thought he had some really good runs. He was bending the line at a time when the Storm needed something desperately. He only played 43 minutes. When he's your go-to middle, it's not saying he can't play more. I'm a bit surprised he didn't play more, maybe because of how ruthless the Broncos were.
Maybe Bellyache was just you know what, this game's gone.
Maybe.
Let's not, why keep Nas on there to gas him when we need that?
Get him right for next week.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe that.
So look, just completely outplayed, to be honest, and not only from a playing perspective, they didn't play as well as they could have, but also I just think from a roster perspective, if you ever, you speak about it all the time, Timmy, we speak about it all the time, but you can't do anything if your forward pack's not killing it. And I think Broncos really proved on the weekend that It all starts in the middle. It all starts in the middle.
One of my all-time gripes, Campion, I'm going to keep going on about it. Time and place for short dropouts.
Yeah.
They took one when the Broncos, I think it was Pappy kicking it, and the Storm were up, Broncos were up 6-0. Take a short dropout, doesn't make the distance. 2 points in front, 8-0, 2-try deficit. Like, time and place, people.
And it just, it's the worst thing you could have given the Broncos, because what does it do? It takes the scoreboard panic away from the Broncos, and that's something that you want the Broncos to get ahead of themselves and start throwing the crazy balls. You don't want them to go, you know what, we'll just settle back and get into a grind, because that's when they can score points.
Yeah. It does my head in.
I imagine there was more to it that we probably don't see, but just I thought it was interesting when Pappy came on in the first half, didn't come back out in the second half. Start of the game.
I'm thinking, from memory, was there a HIA? And he came on, I'm pretty sure he came on for a HIA.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a HIA.
Yeah,
it was
HIA.
Right.
Was it, might have been Young T. I think Young T went
See,
off
I thought
with
he was
HIA.
doing good. I would have kept him on there.
I would have kept him
I
on
would have
too,
started him,
yeah.
if I'm being honest. I said that from the get-go. I know he hasn't played much footy, but I just think he's just dangerous. Every time he gets the ball, it's danger. Meany has been their most consistent player all year. There's no denying that. But I just think that I'd rather stick Meany in the centres or something and have Pappy that back there for 80 minutes or for as many minutes as you can get, because he just creates options.
And like, if I'm Brisbane, I run down there at halftime and I see him not there. I go, how good's this?
Yeah, oh, for sure. And he was dangerous around the ruck. Like, he was absolutely dangerous. So, So, incredible win by the Brizzy Broncos. It's all about not getting ahead of themselves now, using the time off correctly. And for the Melbourne Storm, it's about, to be honest, it's about saving pride. You don't want to get beaten 26-0 and then get absolutely bounced out the next week after that. Now, before we get to Panthers Warriors, this September, Telstra, in collaboration with the NRL, are hosting the NRL Telstra Footy Country Tour. Former and current NRL legends are going to visit remote and regional communities with coaching clinics, club gala days, and prize photo ops with trophies. Kicking off during footy finals, the tour journeys through Queensland, Victoria and New South Wales, finishing at the 2023 Grand Final at Accor Stadium. The link for more information of where they will be going and how to register is in the show notes. Massive thank you to Telstra for obviously supporting Bloke, but also supporting Rugby League. They've been a sponsor since forever. So massive shout out to Telstra. And as I said, go to the show notes to know where the current and former NRL legends will be for coaching clinics, club gala days, and prize photo ops. Now let's get into it.
Wouldn't want to miss seeing those trophies.
Trophies? Did I say trophies? Trophies. It's a new kind of trophy. Panthers defeat the Warriors 32-6. Look, Panthers' ability to just turn it on is some of the best I've ever seen. Look, even the Storm, during their best years, had periods where they would get in kind of dogfights and they'd get into, they'd win 20-12. They were known for their grittiness, their grindiness. I'm trying to think of a team that almost on cue flips into gear and completely dominates the opposition. The Penrith Panthers are incredible. Nathan Cleary, he is going to be one of the greatest we've ever seen. Like, barring injury, I don't know how that's not going to happen. He has just entered the top 5 for points scored in a final series at 25 years old. Past Lockyer, past Thurston, and he's 25. It is nothing short of incredible. And Nathan Cleary is already great, in my opinion. And he basically just has to continue the way he's going, and he'll go down as one of the greatest of all time.
Stop overhyping him.
I'm sick of it. Like, at what point, I know immediately people are going to be saying, Origin Series. Oi, boys and girls. How old was Joey? How far into his career was Joey when he had his 2005 series?
Yeah, 30s.
Literally in his second last year of rugby league. So he's got plenty of time for that. Plus, he's already won 3 series as a player. He only has to win 2 more series, and he equals Joey Johns for series wins. So, look, you can have the Origin argument all you want, but we're talking about club here, and right now, at Club Rugby League, he is on the path to be one of the greatest we've ever seen.
Yep, and I was pretty critical of Nathan around the Origin period this year, without a doubt, but geez, if the Origin argument is the one you're holding on to, enjoy it whilst you can, because it's a matter of time.
And also, like ask yourself a question. If all I can say is this guy hasn't had his Joey Johns moment or his Cam Munster moment. If that's all you can say, you have to say to yourself, he's great.
Yeah.
Like, if that's the only knock you have on the bloke, is that he hasn't had a series like Freddie Fittler, Joey Johns. Bruh, he's 25 years old. Like, this kid is unfreaking believable.
One of the most unbelievable feats in rugby league history was Parramatta going 3 on the trot in the early 80s. He's not there yet. He could have done that by 25 years old. He's very much on track too.
With a squad that when he came into it, he was the only Origin player. He didn't come into a crazy squad. He wasn't recruited into it. He has been a part of the building of one of the most dominant sides we've ever seen.
Yeah.
Ever seen. It is nothing short of amazing. And his ability just to turn up. And that was the scariest thing about his injury at the start of this year or middle of the year. There's nothing scarier than a Nathan Cleary that misses Origin and loses Origin, but also is fresh heading into finals footy and angry as well. That's the scariest Nathan Cleary you could get from a club's perspective. If anything, from a club's perspective, you'd almost want him to have this glorious Origin series so he may just like take the foot off the pedal a little bit. But no, this is the only thing he can win this year. It's the premiership, and he's fresh to do it.
And I know Nath, he'd be devastated for Jerome Luai at the moment, but I know Nathan, the sort of competitor he is. Part of him would also be looking at this going, fuck, this is an opportunity for me to show what I can do on my own here. And you saw that on the weekend. Played both sides of the ruck. Like his right centre was out too. So he had, I think Garner was playing right centre. So Nath just flipped the script, went to the other side and absolutely dominated.
And what's so impressive is like, so when Luai went down, I said, I bet you Cleary averages more than 150 metres a game for the final series. And it's easy to say that as an analyst. You go, player should do X. How often does player not do X? And yet Cleary, every time you go, he should do this, he goes, oh, yep, sweet, boom, done. He just nails it. Like right now he's averaging 150.
I loved him adapting on the weekend and going, right, no Luai there, with absolutely no disrespect to Jack Cogger, but he's not Jerome Luai. Luai's such a focal point of their attack on that left edge. Cleary doesn't go to the left that often, Mike. They're so regimented in the way they attack the Panthers. He sticks on the right. Dylan Edwards often sweeps there. It's Luai's left edge. And he went, he's gone. Oh, I'm going to start attacking the left. And he popped up there all day.
Like, are we honestly about to see an even better version of Cleary? Have we been witnessing a Cleary with, golden chains on him, sitting on one side because he's just doing the team's job? Are we about to see a Cleary that's, sweeping both sides because now it's all on him to do that?
I think so.
Like that's insane.
I don't know how it works on NRL.com and how they do their stats and everything, but for all runs, he's got 33 next to his name.
That's terrible.
Just when he goes over the advantage line, is it?
It's one of my pet peeves in the way the NRL do their stats. It's basically half engaging defender. I think the way it works, and someone will be able to correct me out there, but essentially if he catches it and I think goes over the advantage line, if he passes 4 metres before anyone, they put it up as a run, which is it's so stupid.
Yeah.
So like that compared to, say, Fox stats, Fox might have that he's had 10 runs or something, and NRL will have 33.
But it is wild when, yes, that is ridiculous, but I look at these stats every single week. I haven't seen a halfback with 33 there before.
It's still ridiculous. Yeah. And even so, like, he's still taking over the line, advantage line, engaging defence. It's still an awesome stat, but just misleading runs-wise.
But still, 194 metres, that try that he scored at the end, that was just off its head. It's a real sign of, some of the greatest players of all time, and that was very... That try that he scored, that was very much so like the tries that you used to see Wally Lewis score, where he'd just show it under, and everyone would just freeze. It's like everything just stops around Nathan. He's got all the time in the world. And it's almost like it's a PlayStation game sometimes where he's just going at a faster pace than everyone else.
Yeah.
I was getting those Scotty Prince vibes with the back underneath.
Princey out the back. Yeah, but you saw the defenders, they just like it was a good play by Nathan, but he didn't reinvent the wheel. He turned 2 blokes under.
Yeah.
It wasn't mind-blowing stuff, but the way that he does it and just his tempo of when he does it, he just gets it right every single time.
Yeah. So get a load of these completion rates for the Panthers in the last 2 final series. Going back to 2021, they've played 7 games since that time. They completed 82% on the weekend. Grand final last year, 86%. Preliminary final, 83%. Week 1 of finals, 83%. 2021 grand final completed 82%. The prelim final that year, like an inexcusable 77%. Elimination final that year, they lost week 1 against the Bunnies. Elimination final was 84%. Week 1, their worst in the last 3 years, there's been week 1 of finals in 2021 where they got done by the Bunnies at 75%.
That is like...
What?
They just give themselves so many opportunities to win. You know, like if you could go to... Let's say you could go to Kevy Walters right now and say, mate, we're going to give you guaranteed 85% completion rate in a finals game. Kevy go, I've won the comp.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to win the comp. The Penrith Panthers do it week in, week out. It is... I think they're the only team this week that completed over 80%, actually. I'll have to have a look at that. Could you just check that for us, please? I think they're the only team. Mate, they were outstanding. And, you know, if you can't appreciate Nathan Cleary and respect his incredible ability, then the problem's with you. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
You've got issues.
Like the problem is you clearly just don't like the bloke because he's great. Like, what has he done where you can't sit back and go, you know what? He's a bloody good footy player and he's one of the best ones we've seen. Like,
I've spent the last few years just trying to convince people to give that up. I'm at the point now where I go, if you can't appreciate it, that's on you, and you're just going to miss out on watching proper greatness in front of you.
And you'll be a part of the crowd. Like, for example, when Joey played, there were plenty of people that were anti-Joey.
Everyone, he's not as good as Sterling.
Yeah.
You can't possibly say he's better than Sterling. Same as when Sterling was coming along, the same people said, Langland, he can't keep up with Langlands. He can't keep up. You know, like, the game advances, and so it should.
Yeah.
Doesn't take anything away from previous legends, but guys should be advancing.
Yeah.
Only other team was Canberra, 84%.
Yeah. Wow. So there's only them and Penrith, and like Canberra, if they had, we'll get to Canberra, but just shows you like you've got the grittiness of the Raiders, which is literally, it's not the only reason, but essentially the only reason they're in the 8 is pure grit. So you've got the grittiness of that, plus also the roster, the best roster in the comp. Like, that's why they're the best.
And on Cleary, let's look at Jonathan Thurston, a bloke that every chance he goes down as an immortal in the future. And at no point here am I saying Nathan Cleary's better than Jonathan Thurston, not my argument, but Jonathan Thurston played in 2 grand finals in his entire career.
Yeah.
One in Golden Point, and then the other one he came off the bench for the Doggies as a young fella and played a handful of minutes. Nathan Cleary's on track to do 4 in 4 years.
Yeah. And like you can use different stats to make your argument of, well, Thurston's better because of the Dally M's, or Smith's better because of the length of career, consistency. For sure. I don't think anyone here is saying that you have to put Cleary above or equal to these players. But if you can't admit that he's on trajectory to be in the conversation with those players, I just don't think you're being fair. You're not giving a fair, reasonable take on where this kid is at right now. You just aren't. 3 Origin series, probably should have won the Dally M a couple of years ago, but he's going to win a Dally M. He's got 2 premierships. He's on the way to his fourth grand final in a row.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like 4th grand final in a row. Holy shit. It's amazing. It's amazing. Now, other players that impressed. I thought Dylan Edwards was really good, especially in the first half, but I thought that he did exactly what you need Dylan Edwards to do. You know, he's not like Reece Walsh, he's not like Kalen Ponga, but geez, when he does what Dylan Edwards does best, which is just tough as anything carries, constantly bending the line, constantly taking sets that, you know, maybe Penrith are getting a bit dominated in the middle, and then Edwards takes a run. All of a sudden, it's a quick play of the ball. All of a sudden, the pace of the game is picked up. I thought he did a really, really good job, especially in the first half.
On those completion rates I mentioned before and why they are so reliable, Penrith, we mentioned players earlier like Kalen Ponga and Reece Walsh, and they're just this eccentric, exciting, attacking, flaring players. They will often have more errors in the game because of the way they play their footy, and they chance their arm and they throw the ball around. Dylan Edwards is reliable. He's a high percentage player.
Yeah.
He doesn't go for stupid plays that aren't on. All that ties back into a Penrith Panthers 80+ percentage rate every single game.
Yeah.
He's so reliable.
So reliable, and that's his role.
Yeah.
That's his role, and that's why, as we said, like you can get the excitement machines of KP and Reece, but at the end of the day, what would you rather? I'm not saying you would say, I would rather Reece Walsh or I'd rather Caleb Ponga, but from a fan of a team's perspective, would you rather a fullback that's going to do his job to win premierships, or would you rather the highlight reel? And that's what makes Dylan Edwards' position, it may not be better for other teams, but for this team specifically, it is absolutely perfect what he does.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think the guy that he sort of reminds me of, and you go back to that Cowboy side that won in 2015, Lachlan Coote was very similar. There was better fullbacks around. They had more stats. They had more highlights. similar to Lachlan Clute. He only plays one side of the ruck, essentially. But he's the perfect fit for that footy side.
Yeah. Yep.
Going back, sorry, to Cleary just quickly. How, like that, Nathan Cleary was summed up with his try assist for Liam Martin, where he takes the run before, he beat a couple of defenders and offloaded and was on the ground as the ball was being played. He rushes back to his feet to get behind the play of the ball, gets the ball, cut ball to Martin, they score.
Yeah.
With one boot on.
Yeah. Mate, seriously.
They reckon on that play, it was all set for them to kick to Crichton on the other side, and Nath overcalled it as he was on the ground. He got up and got the ball, put it on. Keep in mind, he went down that edge where, like, you got Luke Garner at 5'8". Like, the play was to kick to Stephen Crichton. Good as gold, sweet. Nath on the ground goes, no, I can put a try through here.
Yeah.
Shit.
Amazing. And I just love the fact that he has every reason to just be like, look, the games, we're going to win this game. We're all good. I'm Nathan Cleary. I'm on $1 million a year. I'm the big dog. Nah, he is fighting and battling in every single play. I will say, though, offside. It's so weird how, like, that rule of being in front of the play of the ball when they play it. Now, granted, he was like, it was timing like perfect, like half a foot, but like they'll call that randomly with some forward that's like fucking 30 seconds.
And when they do call it, I sit there and go, how did they see that?
Yeah.
Christ, that's impressive.
Yeah.
And then you see it happen, and it's just like, yeah, sweet. It's bizarre. Anyway, it's one of those ones where I'm like, look, it was so touch and go. If you watch the replay, like it was like half a foot. It's like, you know what, just give it to him. Yeah, it was crazy. Another guy I want to speak about, we spoke about Taruva, but like this is how good Toto is. This is how fucking good this guy is. A try. So no one's spoken about Toto's performance. It's all been Taruva, Cleary. He had a try. He had 21 runs, 174 metres, 63 post contact, which I think is the
highest for the game.
Highest for the game, of course. 13 tackle breaks, 2 line breaks. Toto just did that. No one's speaking about it. That's how good this guy is. Again, another player, if he continues to do this for the rest of his career, you have to put him in the conversation as the best winger we've seen. You have to. Like, tell me someone else that's doing this week in, week out.
I was doing my review the other night, and I went through this, and honestly, I got to 174 run meters and went, oh.
What game?
Is he sweet?
Yeah. Injured?
Unbelievable.
It is 13 tackle breaks.
And you could tell, like, a lot of their game plan the other day was to keep the ball away from Brian Tyler.
Yeah.
It was very evident the entire game.
Every single team that plays the Penrith Panthers, one of their biggest game plan, literally. Like sometimes, I would argue sometimes it's bigger than shutting Cleary down because guess what gives Cleary the space to do what he does? It is Brian To'o's runs out of his own half. It's his kick returns. Everyone that plays the Panthers is trying to nullify and make it so that To'o touches the ball as little as possible, and he still does that.
Mate, if you would have said to me this morning who had more tackle baits, Jordan Rapana or Brian To'o, I would have never said Brian To'o.
Yeah. It's unbelievable what he does each week. And he also, he won player of the series for Origin too, correct?
Yeah.
Which is deservedly so.
Keep in mind, he won player of the series to the Blues in a series that they lost 2-1. He's a winger that scored 1 try.
Far out.
He's become long ago boring to talk about. Same thing every week.
Because he's
gajillion
so
meters, gajillion post contact, tackle breaks, finishes everything, never drops a ball. Same thing every week.
He's getting into like Teddy areas when he, Teddy had those 4 years in a row where he was just so good, so consistently that you don't even talk about it because you're like, that's just boring. Like I'm saying the same thing every single week. And that's how good To'o is getting. He's getting so good that when you talk about the best winger in the comp, people bring up other wingers like Dom Young or Greg Marju because it's like, oh yeah, of course To'o is actually the best winger, but like it's To'o. Yeah. That's how good he is. Yeah. It's
leaps and bounds above everyone else.
Everyone else. Like, if put it this way, if you went on the street and asked footy fans who's the winger of the year or who's the best winger in the comp, most of them would probably pick all these other guys, and yet he literally just won player of the series for New South Wales from the wing in a losing side. That's how good he is because he's just cemented himself as he's a tier above. Like no one's doing what he's doing consistently week in, week out, year on year.
He's like, this is off the top of my head, but if we went through each position, he'd be the only player in the comp where he is in a tier of his own, and then the debate's right, who's second.
Probably that and Cleary. Outside of that, I'm trying to think of every other position you could go back and forth all day long.
Yeah.
Fullback, KP, Teddy, Reece Walsh, 6.
You know, like at
Maybe
least
Harry-
with Cleary, there is the example of getting to rep footy where DCE can outplay him.
Yeah, good
and
point.
does
Yeah,
quite
that's
often.
awesome.
That's a good point.
Toto,
That's a really good point.
Yeah, like maybe Harry Grant at hooker.
Well,
but
you know what? That's really fair because there's a lot of people that would have DCE for Australia over Cleary.
I was thinking, when I mentioned that, I was thinking about DCE. Like, far out, he's good.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Whereas like To'o, he's getting picked, boom, straight away in any whether he plays Samoa or Australia. Yeah, it's a good point. Really good point. It's one of your best there, Timmy.
Thanks, mate.
you have a look at his last 3 seasons.
I got the occasional one.
Toto's last 3 seasons in which they've won 2 comps and they're potentially heading to a third. He's averaged 245 run meters, 203 and 202.
Fuck. Jesus.
And like I always use the example. Do you remember when Blake Ferguson had that year a few years ago where we all fell over at how much he did?
Yeah.
His peak season was 200 average run meters. He's done it across 3 seasons, and in the Origin arena, he does even more.
Yeah. It's seriously amazing. Another bloke I want to talk about, which I thought was just, it's why they're the big dogs, but James Fisher-Harris. You could tell Adam Fanua-Blake, he went there to try and ruffle the feathers. He went there to try to go at the big dogs. They didn't flinch. Like Fisher-Harris and that literally didn't flinch. They just, their ability to kind of, it's one thing as a front rower to be up for a couple of years of rugby league of being the alpha dog, but to be for like 3 years in a row, have a target on your back. Every other forward pack is like, mate, I just want to get one over Fisher-Harris. Like, I just want to be on the highlight reel for getting one over Fisher-Harris. And it's like, where is that? Where's the moment where you went, you know what? I think Fisher-Harris got dominated. I think Leota got dominated that game.
Yeah, and people get upset when I say it, but mate, these two, like they're heading into like Webke, Seven Receiver sort of areas.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if they were playing Origin, more people would be on the bandwagon of Leota Fisher-Harris. But Cleary, that whole team, what did we watch for the Brisbane Broncos versus Storm? What do you reckon the Broncos are doing without Payne Haas and Paddy Carrigan in the middle? Pretty much like nothing.
Yeah.
What do you reckon the Panthers are doing without Leota and Fisher-Harris leading them in the middle? Like, they'd be okay. They'd be nowhere near as good as they are right now.
Toto would probably play prop and be the best prop in the comp.
Yeah, probably. I am amazed at, week after week, they have a target on their back from some of the toughest people in world sport. Rugby league front rowers are some of the toughest people in world sport. Fisher-Harris and Leota every week have some of the toughest people doing video session going, it will make my year if I fucking dominate them. And every single time they win the battle. It is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and I think Fish quite often, he probably gets a little bit more applaudance, but Leota over the last 2 years, I just always go back to that grand final, and it was all about Junior, it was all about Regan in that week. Just played him off the park.
You know what I reckon it is? I reckon Fisher-Harris is the big dog in attack, Leota's the big dog in defence. And that's why you get Fisher-Harris, getting more praise because we obviously focus on attack, whereas Leota's their best defender. Like, his tackling technique and the ability to snap people, and also very rarely head highs, very rarely suspended. It is nothing short of incredible. And, we know how good that Warriors pack has been all year long. And, I actually didn't think the Warriors played that poorly as well. I actually think they were quite brave in periods. But, I think it was like the first half, the Panthers had 60+% possession of the ball.
Yeah, and you could really tell, like the Panthers... And, this is what these great Melbourne Storm teams did. They would have looked at the New Zealand Warriors of that SJ and gone, okay, what's your strength? It's your middle forwards. If you look in the first half, I think it was Egan, Barnett, AFB and Tohu, they combined for 95 tackles.
Far out.
So the Panthers just went, we're just going to turn under all day and play all through the middle, and we're going to gas you out. And they got to the second half, and the Wires just had nothing left.
Yeah. So smart. Like, think about that game plan. We're going to turn you under all day so that you're gassed when you get the ball back because you're not as heavily reliant on the backs as we are. And then when our forwards are defending, they are fresh as anything to absolutely bash you. It's such a smart game plan. And again, the difference is that I'm sure plenty of coaches have the game plan. The difference between the Panthers and everyone else is every single player executes a game plan.
Yeah.
Every single player.
And that's where as well, when they are playing like that, it's where I think it's the most underrated part of Dylan Edwards' game. Him around the ruck. He might not be the fastest guy, whatever it might be, but he's just hard to handle through there. When he gets into dummy half.
How good's his line break from dummy half?
Yeah, how good.
Yeah, out of nowhere.
And you could just see as soon as he went, you saw AFB just go, fuck. Christ, give me the big boys all day. I just can't handle this guy through the middle.
Yeah. So impressive. Another guy, I want to give a shout out to Ivan Cleary. Like, selection-wise, when finals comes around, he freaking nails selections. Honestly, Luke Garner for me was like, he was nowhere near that top 17. Like, he was like, wow, I actually thought he would go on and do some really great things at the Panthers. You know, maybe he's more of a reserve grade level player. Gets picked at centre and was outstanding.
I remember when we went on the country tours. I remember driving up there, that was the start of round one. I remember thinking, geez, Luke Garner's going to explode this year. By the time we left the country tours, I thought we might not see Luke Garner again this year.
Mate.
And then he gets picked in centre come finals time and kills it.
Yeah, what a joke. They go, Tunga goes down injured for a while. So despite all these plethora of outside back options they could play there, they went with Zach Hosking. And the back row kills it at centre. Had the best ball playing centre at the club, evidently. Get to finals week 1. Tungo laid out. Sorry, last week they swap edges, Tungo and Crichton, just because they can. Week 1 of finals. All right, Tungo's out. Expect Hosking to go back there. Nah, let's put Luke Garner there. Mate. Garner goes in there and kills it. Had that beautiful line break. Run a great line early in the game off Cleary, I think it was. I was so excited for Garner because I, like we all did, but had really high expectations for him going to Penrith. Same thing, thought he'd kill it. I don't think it's been a case of him underwhelming as such. I think you've just seen Hosking and Sorensen in particular step up and play so many games this year that he had his opportunity at the start of the season, didn't take it, hasn't had the opportunity to come back in. So to see him do that on the weekend, I still have faith that there's a big future ahead for him. Just a hard system to crack, isn't it?
Well, he might have just jagged himself a bench spot.
Maybe.
You know, like because maybe he pushes Hoskins off the bench. You know, you just don't know. You just don't know.
You know what I love about what Ivan's done, as you said, so many different guys playing so many different positions. Honestly, there is nothing that could happen injury-wise in the next 2 weeks that they couldn't handle.
Mate, I'd go you're right. Like, outside of maybe Cleary, but even then I go, you know what? Maybe Cogger can just somehow get the boys around the park.
Cogger's had his opportunity. Like, at least whatever happens and they have to put someone in, it is someone that has done the job this year.
Yeah. They're prepared so well.
Yeah. Are we expecting Luai back for the prelim?
They're talking like he's back for the prelim. But then if they play that way with what they've got, do you risk Luai re-injuring whilst he's playing and not having a 6 for the, you know what I mean, for half the game?
Well, maybe they can
carry Cogger.
Carry Cogger at 14. They've done it at times this season, so I think they'd probably just do that.
Yeah, maybe that. That'd probably be the smart thing to do because they've got so many other guys who can cover other positions, and that's what's so good what they've done.
Well, whether it's true or not, I don't know, but they reckon that Jerome Luai, he was out the front of the stadium having photos as they arrived the other day, and they reckon he was telling fans that he'd play next week if they were playing.
Right.
That was obviously pre-game before they won, so you'd have to think in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, wow. I mean, look, whoever plays there is going to bloody handle it. We know that. Liam Martin, we've already spoken about him, absolute dog. Isaiah Yeo, similar-ish, getting into the areas of like, just puts up these crazy numbers week in, week out. Like 25 runs, 196 metres, 55 post-contact, 3 tackle breaks, 43 tackles, 0 misses. You know, like, he just fits that system so well. I actually think that, you know, maybe if he went to another club, he would be a good, strong first grader, but might not fit their system as well. But he's just perfect for what the Panthers need. He really is perfect for what they need.
Lindsay Smith, who came off the bench, he played 38 minutes. He had 31 tackles, none missed.
Fucking unbelievable. The standards just don't drop with the Panthers, even when they're up, 20-0 or whatever. They all just continue to play exactly the way they should be playing. It's just phenomenal. What about Tyron Peachy? Might win a premiership this year. The Peach. I mean, he didn't play that well on the weekend, but the Peach. Could you imagine the Peach winning a premiership?
What a story.
Oh, mate, the best story ever. Anyone else impress you boys for the Critter? Outstanding.
No, it's
good, mate.
It's just almost boring to talk about with them.
Just too good. Too bloody good. Now on to the Warriors. Look, the score obviously nowhere near what they would want. I didn't think they played that poorly, but I also think that even with Eshe in there, I still think they lose by 2 or more tries. And I think it was a really good example of they're still probably just a tier away from the top tier. And I think we all could understand that. But I think we saw it in first person, like the top tier are the Panthers and the Broncos. And I just don't know where the Warriors right now have that little extra gear in them. Now, they can beat the Knights for sure, but can they beat the Warriors or Panthers? Sorry, can they beat the Broncos or Panthers this year? I just don't know if they have it in them yet.
We said it last week. I think there are, as you said, mate, there are levels to this. The Panthers and the Broncos are a step above the Warriors. And I know Warriors fans get upset by that, but, you know, the reality is premierships aren't won in a season. They're won over years. And this is a Warriors team that has made huge jumps this year, but it's going to take time. And they are not at the level of the Panthers or the Broncos at the moment. Does that mean, you know, I'm not saying they're ruled out for this competition, but I just even with SJ, mate, I still don't think they would have got within 12 points of this Panthers side.
Yeah, I agree. I think, look, what I did love, though, I thought they were gutsy. I know the scoreboard doesn't reflect it, but I thought they were super, super gutsy. There was a lot of big defensive plays, and the Panthers were just almost perfect. Like, they were genuinely choking the life out of them for the first 40 minutes. So, yeah.
I love with Penrith how there's just so many times that they're, 5-10 metres out from the line, they're in a corner. Nathan Cleary just goes, Liam Martin, you just get tackled there. Let's get up.
All good.
Let's get him here again.
What do you reckon, Timmy?
Yeah, it was as soon as that Sean Johnson news came through, it was such a dagger because no one sort of fancied the Warriors too much going into this, but with Sean Johnson there and the football he's been playing this season, they're a fighter's chance of causing an upset. They've got the pack to, put it somewhat to Penrith with Fanua Blake, Toru, a few of the gun big boys there. You just knew that points were going to be really hard to come by there. And I suppose, give him a bit of credit, they lost their two starting halves. They've had just about all season in Metcalf and Johnson within the same week or two. So it was always going to be backs against the wall. We look down the track. We'll get to the preview of the Knights game later, but very, very winnable for them. If they get through to a prelim against the Broncos, I don't think they'd beat them. I think they can beat them, though, so they've got the pack to put it to them. So just need to see this side with SJ back in playing finals footy because he's got the experience. We know he's a big game player.
Yeah. One thing I will say, though, is that when you don't necessarily have the roster, you've got players out, you don't want to beat yourself, and their completion rate, you want to be at least, like, for example, you look at the Raiders and you go, okay, they lost, but at least they gave themselves every opportunity to win that game. They completed high, did everything they could to give good field position. And with the Warriors, even on top of the fact that the Panthers were so clinical, they made 14 errors. And it's just like, you're never going to give yourself a close to a chance against the top tier sides making 14 errors.
Isn't it just evident once again how heavily they worked over the middle? Out of the Warriors starting pack, only one of them made below 32 tackles, and that was Mitch Barnett, and he only played 40 minutes. He made 27 tackles.
Mate, they were just gassed. I mean, that's probably why they made so many errors, because they were so tired.
Yeah. And that's it. It's like you look at the scoreline and go, oh, what a horror showing, Warriors week 1 of finals. It's the Penrith Panthers. They do it to every team week in, week out. Like didn't come as a surprise to anyone. 9 line breaks to 0.
That's tough.
That's a lot. I mean, there was the try the Warriors score where Dallin went down the side. That nearly had to have been a line break, but regardless, pretty daunting stat.
I mean, it reminds me of almost the Sharkies game a few weeks ago where they completely dominated them, and you couldn't watch that game and say Sharkies didn't have a dig. Like, everyone agreed. Sharkies, they defended their asses off, but this is a Panthers side that they're the grittiest side in the comp, plus they're also the most talented side in the comp. So usually you get one or the other. Super gritty, super talented. They're both. And that's just the way it is right now. Yeah. It really just is. Like, it's hard to be hypercritical of the Warriors after losing a key player. And also, as I said, if you're going to be critical, it's just about the completion rate. That's something you can control. That's something that you can give yourself an opportunity. But in regards to individual performances, look, Egan worked his butt off. Chance had some moments in regards to just working his butt off, but individually, I don't think really anyone stood out for me positively. Negatively, I did think on the edges, they fell into some old habits and looked quite brittle when they'd been quite good for a while. Especially, to top it all off, the Cleary try. It's like situations like that. Cleary's not overly fast. He's not Benji Marshall. That's just purely poor reads and poor communication in defence. So that's where I'm a little bit concerned is their edge defence.
Yeah, and that was a big talking point coming into this season, I remember. Sort of one thing that I was really focused on. They had improved it a lot, but, I mean, this does sort of go back to what we spoke about last week. Like, at the end of the day, this Warriors side, they've had a fantastic season. They've been really good, but, that's now their 5th game against a top 4 team this year, 0-5.
Yeah. And, I mean, you'd count the Broncos game top 4, and they didn't even have any of their Origin players.
Yeah. So, as we said, there's levels to this, and you don't win a premiership in one season. You build it over years and years and years. And the Warriors are heading in the right direction. But, this might be a good thing, Kempy. Give them a reality check of where it's good to be here, but this is where you need to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there's...
Same as the Penrith Panthers when they took on the Melbourne Storm a couple of years ago. You're here, that's good.
Yeah.
You've got to be here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, Broncos bowing out last year. It's like, you did so well, but it means literally nothing now. So, hard to talk about the Warriors. We'll talk more about the Warriors in the preview of the game for the weekend. But, just a lot of effort. But not only were they a better side, you didn't really give yourself the best opportunity to stay in the fight. Now, on to Sharkies v. the Roosters. But before we get into that, make sure you head to Shoegrab to get new shoes. Free delivery on all orders over $99. Sneakers, casual performance, slides, limit exclusive, plus a bunch of clothes and accessories. Shoegrab is the #1 shoe market in Australia. Head to shoegrab.com.au to grab your new kicks. They have, honestly, it's almost infinite options. It is incredible the options they have. Some great limited shoes. They've also got casual wear. Really, really cool store. They've got a store in Sydney, a store in Melbourne. Plus, you obviously can buy online. Give them a follow on Instagram. Really, really cool store, guys. And as I said, the range they have for the price they have, it's amazing. And it's free delivery on any orders over $99. Roosters defeat the Storm. Storm? The Sharks. It says the Storm here. That's all right. Roosters defeat the Sharks 13-12. Wow. Such an interesting game to kind of analyse because is it as doom and gloom as I think some Sharkies fans think? No, but also is the monkey off the back? Obviously not. The Roosters, they did exactly what we thought they were going to do. Defend their absolute backsides off and just find a way to grind a win out. This was one of the gutsiest performances you'll see in a finals game. I think that Trent Robinson, although I guess on this panel we've disagreed with quite a lot of decisions he's made, his ability to somehow galvanise this team to fight till the end, it is amazing. The fact that he's been able to turn it around, get him into the second week of the finals, yes, they absolutely still should be criticised for the fact that they're a premiership favourite and now they're battling, in knockout finals. But at the end of the day, this is where they are now, and you've got to make the best of what you have. And it was truly one of the grittiest performances I've seen in a long time.
Before we get into these last 2 games, Kempy, we spoke about a few weeks ago, like rugby league, when you add urgency in it, goes to another level. These 2 games, both sudden death games, had me on the edge of my seat the entire time.
These next 2 games? Yeah, absolutely.
Unreal. And,
so
the first 2 games, they were good, but both teams knew they had a second bite of the cherry. When you're playing for everything...
Yeah.
Changes everything. The best game in the world.
Absolutely.
There's no doubt about it whatsoever. This game, 13 points to 12. Sam Walker, mate, he's just the talking point for me. And I think also credit to Trent Robinson. 10, 15 weeks ago, he made the decision that Sam Walker wasn't the guy. He's going to move in a different direction. And I think you've got to give full credit to Trent Robinson that 2 weeks out from finals, when it looks like they've turned the corner, however he worked it out, he came to the decision, I made the wrong call here. I need to bring this kid back in. He's got the X factor to be able to win me big games, and he's got the best out of him. Yeah,
huge call from Trent Robinson. Honestly, I thought Sam Walker was gone.
Yep.
If you said, look, you have to gun to your head, you have to bet whether Sam Walker will be at the Roosters next year or not, I thought there's no way. I thought they'd gone down the Keary route. Him and Keary don't look like they're working. How little do I know? How wrong was I? Because you'd be crazy to let go of Sam Walker like that. The big plays that he's put on the last few weeks have been nothing short of amazing. And the ice in his veins. We saw some of the game's best missing drop goals. Sam Walker is 20 years old, 21, and he is nailing it. And it's not the first time he's done it either. It is phenomenal. And Sam Walker's mental fortitude to get dropped, injuries, playing reserve grade, comes back in, doesn't kick rocks, doesn't sook, gets straight back to business. And now he has got them into the second week of the finals.
especially when you add the added pressure of Hutcho came in, did a job, and they were winning. So if they stop winning all of a sudden, you know whose head it falls on.
100%. It's almost like if you're looking at conspiratorially, you'd be like, if you come in and we go poorly, well, it's clearly you're the problem because Drew Hutchinson did a good job. Now, that's not what the Roosters were thinking, but outside looking in, that's what you could say. And yet he has absolutely nailed it. I cannot believe it. What do you think about this one, Timmy?
Just the Roosters the last couple of years, just drama surrounds everything they do. Nothing ever flows the way it's expected. We know that infamous Week 1 finals game last year against the Bunnies, 7 sin bins. This Week 1 finals this year, their captain James Tedesco gets sin binned. The rookie halfback who'd been dropped comes and hits the match-winning field goal. They lose their star winger after 41 minutes, their star centre after 51 minutes. There's blokes in different positions. There's just drama every single game, and it's a good ride to be on.
Not to mention, obviously they lost their star centre, but a minute later, James Tedesco gets sin-binned at Shark Park without JWH, Daniel Tupou. They had no right to win this game of football. No right whatsoever.
They had Wong and Crichton in the centres.
Yep.
It's...
Sandon Smith was playing about 3 positions at one stage.
Yeah. And that's where, I look at the Rabbitohs and the Roosters situation and I go, look, sometimes you can just have bad years as clubs. It's no one's fault. You can't point the finger. It just doesn't seem to work out. And the Roosters have had every reason for there to be a massive blue and fallout at the club. And I just think they deserve massive credit for the fact that somehow, some way, there hasn't been a massive blue. They lost an assistant coach in the middle of the year. Basically got rid of him because he spoke to someone else. Dropped their superstar, Sam Walker. There are so many reasons. Victor Radley getting suspended. There are Luke Keary. Would he get through the whole year? There are so many reasons for the Roosters, for that club to have turmoil internally. And just somehow, some way, Trent Robinson's managed to keep it all together.
And they snuck into the 8 in the final game of the season. They've somehow snuck through to week 2 of the finals with a 1-point win. Nothing about it has been pretty. There's still been issues all over the place, but they're still alive.
They're still alive. And I think that, I know the Roosters, they cop shit for, they just buy their premierships and blah, 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 and they only recruit, they got no juniors, which is a little bit of a myth, but they just do not get enough credit for how gritty they are. There are so many clubs that would have these similar issues and it would be a complete implosion. Look at some of the bottom tier clubs that have way less, you would think that it's way simpler as a bottom tier club. You don't have to deal with superstars. You don't everyone should just be stoked to just try and get on there and get the job done. And they implode within 6 weeks of the season starting. The Roosters, favourites by everyone, and they've just managed to just keep it all together. As I said, there's a lot that I've disagreed with Trent Robinson this year, and as far to say as I think that he needs to even just take a reset and go back to what got him to the dance. And look, by listening to the players, they have spoken about the fact that they've pulled it all back and they've almost reduced the intensity. So maybe Robbo has done that. But I just think he deserves massive credit, massive credit to lead this team. Had every reason to just fall off the face of the cliff, and they look as united as ever.
Yeah. And I think one guy that has really stood out to me the last few weeks, he's absolutely worked his dick off, Victor Radley.
Mate, he was the guy I was going to bring up.
Yeah.
Is he the superstar right now? Is he on the level of your Carrigans and your Murrays and your Yo? No, he's not. But is he doing exactly what his team needs for him right now? They need him to just be a dog in the middle, getting through work, and he was outstanding on the weekend.
I'd love to know. I'm so confident that over the last 5 weeks, Robbo and him have had a coffee or they've had a conversation at some point because you can see a definite change in Radley.
His whole demeanour's changed. Yeah. I'm not even, when I'm watching him now, especially last week and even the week before, when there's a scuffle, I'm not worried about him. I'm not sitting there going, fuck, Radley's about to come in here and start swinging. Yeah. And even a week before, I thought that with the Hungriest situation that happened, when he ran in and he didn't try and fight anyone, he didn't lose his head, I thought that was such a good opportunity for him to do exactly that, and he didn't. I think he's been doing a fantastic job, at least in the last month of rugby league. And now it's about, mate, you know what you need to do, you know what you can offer the side. It's just about doing that week in, week out.
Look, over the last 6 weeks, the Roosters haven't conceded more than 14 points in a game.
It's bloody good. And I mean, it must be so annoying as listeners to hear it, but if you didn't know defence wins premierships,
exactly right.
Defence is everything in this game. It seriously is like the Roosters only put 13 on the Sharks and they still won.
Well, the Roosters' attack's been garbage all season, one of the worst in the competition. Vastly improved in the back half of the season as they made their run. But they had one of the best defences in the comp and they're still alive 2 weeks into the finals. So that's
It's amazing. And you give them a shot next week. You give them a shot.
Yep.
All built on defence.
Huge shot. Again, like injuries have hit him hard. Like if you're going into this with Suoliti and Manu, who looks like they're both going to be out, huge losses. So what point is this toll going to add up? But
Yeah.
jeez.
You just don't know. Like, Robbo was already almost done the unthinkable by managing to get them. Like, think about it. They had to win every game for the last month, or maybe more, just for a chance that results went their way to be in the finals. Now they're in week 2. Now, I've given all that praise to Robbo, and I mean, there's a reason why he's won 3 premierships and he's one of the better coaches in the competition. I will say the decision to play Joe Manu, I just think that was... I mean, I called it before. I said he's going to tear it. He's going to tear it again. With all the experience they had, the experienced team. Now, I know Joey would have been telling them, mate, I'm sweet. You know, I got through training, and Robbo said, like, he got through training on Wednesday, it looked good. And to be fair, and what I always really respect about Robbo, he'll say he got things wrong. And he said, look, we got that one wrong. But yeah, I did say before the game, I'm extremely confident he's going to tear his hammy again. I think that was the wrong move. And now people will say, oh, but it was a do-or-die game. Yeah, I understand that, but you don't want your star player with another hamstring tear because it increases the likelihood that he's going to tear it in the future. And also, now he's not ready for the game 2 where you probably really need him. And I think that could have they beaten the Sharkies without Manu? Maybe, maybe not. Like, he did play really well while he was on. But yeah, I thought that was the wrong call.
Yeah. I was sort of leaning more on the side of last week. It's sudden death, go for it. So yeah, I probably can't talk too much, but I agree with one point you made there, mate, that Trent Robinson, he just takes ownership for everything.
Yeah, I always like that. Even when they were in the depths mid-year, his first thing was, I am not making the right, basically paraphrasing, but he was saying, I'm not making the right calls now for our team. Like, there's not many, I mean, I know he's in a comfortable position because of what everything he's achieved, so he can say that and not have to worry about, you know, the headlines that get created.
But he's not. I don't think he's in a super comfortable position.
Yeah,
he's at a club that expects to win every single year. They haven't won in 5 years.
Yeah, fair. That's fair. Fair point. Fair point.
I think the thing that stands out with me with the Roosters and what Trent Robinson's done is that, you know, like I'm looking at, you know, the teams that are playing this weekend. Going, my God, they're all going to be exhausted. The Roosters have played 6 weeks of finals footy.
I know, it's fucking. Yeah, it's crazy. It is crazy. And look, in the preview, I said this. The biggest question heading into that game was the Roosters, when they sit in the changing room and they look across from each other and say, have we answered the question when things get tough? We've answered it time and time again. The unfortunate thing for the Sharkies is when they looked around that changing room and they said, have we answered the question when things get tough in finals footy? Can we answer that question? We don't know yet. Maybe they can, maybe they can't. And I think on the weekend you saw a Roosters side that when the shit hit the fan, they almost got better. They almost felt comfortable being uncomfortable. It made them... You could see on the field when things got as worse as they can get. They can't get any worse. They almost looked across and clicked into gear. They'd been here before. They know how to react. And that's an example of a finals footy, gritty, tough side.
When Teddy got sin-binned, I had that same feeling in my stomach as I did in Origin when Queensland had the sin bin. I just thought, oh no, this doesn't feel right. Something's going to go wrong here.
Yeah.
They've got every read. They should win this. Everything should be sweet. But the Sharkies, they've almost sort of got a little bit of like the yips to them at the moment.
Yeah. It's just, if you ever, I guess, when people always say, oh, they don't have finals experience, or they don't have this experience, if you ever wanted to watch a game where you've seen blokes with experience in the tough stuff, not to say that the Sharks aren't tough, but in the nitty-gritty, in just the dire situations, look how the Roosters react to that. Every single person gets an extra wind.
And look at what they get out of the young guys, like your Wongs. Like I thought Sandon Smith, when he came on,
he was great.
He came up with some huge plays in the back end. I'd argue if he wasn't in that 17, I'm not sure if they do win that.
Mate, Marnie played 51 minutes. Suoliti played 41 minutes. Teddy obviously in the bin for 10 minutes. Like, Fletcher Baker only played 21 minutes. Nothing short of amazing. Sharkies, now we'll get to the individuals after. Sharkies, look, I know people are going to look towards those drop goals with Nicho Hynes, and rightly so. You want to nail them as a 7. As the marquee signing, you want to nail them. I will say, I'm less concerned about him not nailing the drop goal. And I guess the one thing I will say, I think going forward and him learning as a 7 is in that second drop goal, he'll have a play ready to give him space to make that drop goal. That all comes with experience. So in that moment, for sure, you could definitely say Nicho Hynes, the more experience he's going to get, the better he's going to get at nailing that situation. But outside of that, I know a lot of people are going to try and blame Nicho for that performance. I personally think Nicho Hynes could not have done more to put his team in a position to score points. Like, I genuinely believe that. I know people will think, because he's a fan favourite, people say that. Watching that game, outside of the drop goals, which he should have iced, I genuinely don't believe he could have done more.
If you got me to write a list of the guys that didn't deserve to lose this weekend, I'd go Jordan Rapana, Nicho Hynes, without a doubt. And I think, he is just so ball dominant. And, I posted a thing like, at halftime, he had like 50 touches of the ball or something. He was everywhere, Nicho Hynes. And, I love that during the game as well, he took over the goal kick. I'm not sure why he wasn't goal kicking in the first place. But he took full ownership of that. And yes, did nice the moment to the end. But I love that Nicho Hynes is at least the guy that when the game's on line, he wants the football.
Mate, it was tremendous throughout the game. The pass he threw for the Katoa try, and first try of the game, he had like 0.1 of a second on that. I think it was Billy Smith. Someone rushed up on him. Catch, pass, flung it over the top. That was such high risk. Early on in the game, it was a grind. It was 0-0 and he throws that. Gets that an inch wrong or whatever. That's an intercept. They run the field, score, and he's like the villain for it, but nailed it. They scored there. Then he sets up Mulitalo with a really nice pass on the opposite side of the field for the second try for the Sharkies. He had a great game. Unfortunately, he didn't ice it when it mattered. 2 cracks at it. I was so disappointed because I wanted it for him so bad because he's so lovable. He's had a bit of critique, some of it fair, some of it unfair in big games early on in his career. And I'm like, this could be his moment. Ice a finals game with the drop goal.
I think people need to remember we're talking about a bloke in his second year of 7 in the NRL. Like, I guarantee you, if this moment happens next year, if let's say the exact same moment happened, I guarantee he has a play ready to give himself more space to nail that drop goal. In
the blink of an eye, he'll turn this around, and you said he'll learn from it. I think after the game he said that he knew it was a bit too shallow.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. At that. But I mean, at the opposite end of the field, there's Sammy Walker, who's a 20-year-old who has gone and nailed. He had 1 crack at it. He took it 7 minutes out, and that won them the game. The Roosters are still alive. So
you know what I think the difference is though. Who were the 2 players that charged Nicho Hynes down?
Teddy and Kiri.
2 of the most experienced, big game, big dog players in the competition, and that's where I look at the Sharkies, and I don't see those kind of players in that Sharky roster. I think that unfortunately, the players around Hynes in the spine, I felt like they let him down. I really did.
Even I know you can only shield to a certain degree now. You can't have too many players there, but there was very little support around when Nicho was doing that. Like, they had pretty free runs at him both times. Yeah. There was nothing there.
And I thought that unfortunately Trindle probably saved one of his not as good, wasn't the best game from Trindle. It was actually a pretty poor game from Trindle, unfortunately. Blake Brayley as well, who is the epitome of consistency. And so when you look at this spine and you go Hynes, Trindle, Tracy, Brayley, that's a very, very young spine with inexperience in the NRL. And then you compare it to the other side, which is Teddy, Keary, Sam Walker, and Cheese. Think about this. So Walker ices the field goal. Keary charges down in the big moment. Teddy charges down in the big moment. And Cheese had one of his best games. And so when you compare the two, it's like, I do think that changes they need to go into the market, the Sharks. I don't know if they're going to be able to do it with this roster. They're the team that I feel the most sorry for in this final series, because I agree with Fitzgibbon. I do think they look like a side that's grown up. They work their butts off, but little things like Brayley sticking an arm out with that ball to score the try. as he gets more experience, he's going to know, look, if I can't get it, I'm not going to stick my arm out. I'm going to let it bounce so that, people around me can get it. And then you had the ball from, was it Trindle or Tracy that hit Jesse Ramey and they knocked it on. It was nearly a light, would have been a try. I do think that Fitzgibbon probably needs to go into the market for 2 to 3 players. And look, they're missing Finucane. Graham is getting on a bit older. I get all that. And they're definitely progressing as a team. I just think that when you compare this, these key players in key positions against a team like the Roosters, and to be fair, the Roosters are, got the best roster in the comp. I just think that he may need to go into the market.
Yeah, I agree. I just, for people at home, if you get the opportunity, obviously Katoa, he scores the first try for the Sharkies. Go and watch that entire set from Nico Hines and the way that he just, he takes him down the left, he turns one under, then he comes back down that open side. He puts Britt Nicker, who runs a brilliant line as per usual. He puts him on the head of Nat Butcher. He takes him out of the defensive line. And Nickera draws in 4 defenders on that one tackle. And Hines, just perfect halfback play. I'm going back down that same corridor. I know I've got numbers here, and just pulls the trigger at the perfect time with the perfect pass. It was a really, really good halfback set there.
Yeah.
You say, Kempy, they need to go into the market for a few players here or there. It's a very well-rounded 1 to 17, and they've got depth. We know that. Whereabouts do you think they need to
I
go
think
into it?
a few, obviously, you continue to give Trindle an opportunity, I think. Will Kennedy at fullback, I think that, Connor Tracy, although solid, I do think they did miss Kennedy's ball playing a little bit in a big game like that. So I would give Trindle the opportunity to prove himself. But I think forwards-wise, they just, to me, I just think that there's too many players in the side that are okay with making a mistake. Oh, well, I only made 1 error, so it's all good. Because their completion rate this year, could you check what their completion rate is compared to everyone else? And in key moments, they just were almost okay with it. So I actually think in their forwards that they need to, I think they need an edge back rower. I think that Cam McInnes, is he a long-term 13 when you compare him to the other big dog 13s in the comp? Probably not. He's probably more of a bench impact player. Dale Finucane, he's towards the end of his career, so obviously you'll have to replace him anyway. I don't think you should replace him next year, but you've got to recruit. So I think in their forwards, they probably need to recruit a little bit. What do you got there, Matty?
Yeah, equal most errors with the Roosters.
So that's where I look at. Okay, just too many players are okay with making mistakes.
I think their forward pack's really interesting because I think they're the only team of the teams that were left in the finals that they don't have the guy in the forward pack. It's just from front row to lock, they're sort of all very similar sort of players. You don't have that guy, they don't have a Tapane, an AFB, a Haas.
Yeah.
Literally every other team has one forward that you go, fuck, if he's the best forward on the ground, we don't stand a chance.
I mean,
today.
even the Tigers too. And the two teams that struggle, the Doggies, that's the one thing they're missing up front. And I think Toby Rudolph, I think he's a good player. Royce Hunt, good players. I just think another really, really good front rower changes that thing a lot. I think that as well in the back line, give Will Kennedy another year. He's probably the most underrated fullback in the comp, but he needs to continue to progress if they want to. He can't stay at this level, put it this way. He needs to keep getting better, which he may because he's not that experienced in his career.
On the positive side for the Sharkies, I know they've lost 3 from 3, but they'll keep a pretty similar roster going into next year. They now have 3 games of final experience. I know losing him doesn't help, but still, and there was 1 point into their season last year, same again this season. Defence, which there's an issue for them for the majority of the year. We knew they had points in them. The last 6 to 8 weeks, it was rock solid. They had 4 line breaks conceded to the Roosters, which is fine. 2 tries, 1 try was off that awful deflection. They've shored up that left edge defensively, so they made monumental steps defensively to finish the season.
And that's why I feel the most sorry about them because they'll get painted with the same brush as last year. But I think they're a better side now. I think they're this side this year, even though they finished lower. But in this finals game, I think they're more mature. I think they're a better side. And also, these things take time, guys. Just to expect them to go from 10th 2 years ago to winning comps this year. And that's coming from people that, we thought they'd be, challenging for a comp. These things take time. But as I said, I don't think it's a massively disappointing year for the Sharkies. I do think they've made progress. But I do think it's become clear that they need to make a recruitment. Maybe if they could get 1 or 2 big signings, I think that's what would take them to the next level.
think they're really going to miss Wade Graham too.
What he brings her off the field for sure.
Oh, because like you think about like last year Fafita retired, this year Wade goes, like that's the last of the DNA from that premiership.
Yeah.
It's a real new wave now, and that they've got the players to be able to do it. There's no doubt about that. As Timmy said, like the roster 1 to 17, like they're almost awkward to talk about because it's. I find it hard to find a real problem with this side.
Yeah.
Because I look at
me too.
I look at guys that I would maybe change, and I go, fuck, the bottom eight decides to give their right arm to have him in centre or fullback.
I think it's less a case of having a problem with a player, not to say that you said that, and more of a case of can they go to that next level that they're hoping to go to. And I think that there are maybe 2 or 3 players where probably haven't made that step this season. Now they may make it, next season. And I think that just one, if they could put it this way, imagine if you could chuck like even a Stefano, a Adam Fanua-Blake, a Tarpaner, Haas, like all these like big dog front rows. Imagine if you could just chuck one of them in there, how much that would change the roster. Yeah. And it's easier said than done. These guys don't. That's why they're so in demand because they're very hard to find. So that's why I feel so sorry for the Sharkies because I do think they've improved this year. Even though they finished lower, I think they made a lot of progress. They turned their season around. But at the same time, you can't watch that game and say that they shouldn't have won that game. They absolutely should have won that game.
And as I said just before with Wade Graham, and you said they'll miss him off the field, and I completely agree, but that left edge was absolute shambles all season until they put Wade there. It'll be interesting come to round 1 next year. Do we have the same problem?
So interesting.
But it will. It's the most interesting thing for me with this Sharky side because I don't know what they're going to do next year.
They need to recruit. They need to recruit, in my opinion.
Yeah, recruit centre, back rower.
Back rower. I think back rower has proven to be the concern in the communication part. If they could recruit a good experienced back row, like for example, if they could find a Kurt Capewell, East type player that's really can communicate well. Like in a perfect world, if you told me Sharks had gone and get a wide running forward and a fucking gun front rower, I'm all aboard the Sharkies next year. I really am.
I think you're right, Campy. I think the edge back rower, that's the spot. Teague Wilton was solid there this year, but had defensive issues. He's got a fine future ahead of him, but needs to sort out his defence. He'll also be coming back from, it was an ACL that he did, I believe, so I would imagine that was round 20, so he'll probably miss maybe the first part of next season. So that edge back row spot, you said Graham retired, to start next year, that's the spot, isn't it?
Yeah, because I think there's every chance next year that young Iro gets an opportunity at centre. Worries me that they'll just move Siffer into that spot. And if Wilton is out, it might make the most sense, but geez, like you'd love to see them get even like I was watching the Raiders yesterday, like an Elliott Whitehead on that edge.
Oh mate, they'd kill for an Elliott Whitehead on the edge. So as I said, it's really hard to talk about the Sharks because like they absolutely should have iced that game. They had so many opportunities to win it, and what I know we spoke about it briefly. The decision for 2 points, I actually thought it was a great decision, but you guys felt differently about it.
I was 50-50. I don't know. I just feel like they had the foot on the throat at that point. And if I was the Roosters in that moment, what I wanted them to do was take the 2.
Yeah. Because I think like even after, so they got that 2 points, then they bombed a try. So I think the problem wasn't the 2 points, it was the bombing of tries.
Yeah.
That's fair.
That's the problem. What do you reckon, Timmy?
Yeah, well, that's fair. Like they chose, you can be critical of a decision here or decision there, but the Sharks should have won that game. They had ample opportunity to do it. And we'll say the exact same thing about the Raiders in a minute. They had their chances and they didn't do it. So it's easy to be nitpicky, but they probably should have won this game footy.
Mate, could you imagine like one little play, like your Bradley doesn't stick that hand out, or is it Colburn? What's his name?
Colhern.
Yeah. Like I'm not sure what Fitzy's, ethos is, but most coaches I've been under don't stick your leg out. It doesn't help anyone because then your fullback's trailing in, then it's just a 50-50 ball in the air again. Whereas, so he sticks his, like, that's what I'm talking about in regards to like these little decisions that some of these rookie players make. They all seem to add up for the Sharkies and they get punished for it. So definitely one that got away. Because think about how different their season. If they just get to week 2 of the finals and they lose or whatever, it's like, okay, we lost to the Melbourne Storm, all good. We went a bit better than last year, whereas now it's like...
Aren't they an interesting side, though, and like without being like overly positive or whatever, but like 8 weeks ago, I think we all agreed that they were going to fall out of the eight.
They were gone. Yeah,
Like, they were gone.
100%.
So would you rather get another game of finals experience, learn hard lessons, or not play finals footy like we expected them to? They're just such a weird footy side to work out.
Yeah, like for example, I look at their backline. I'm like, that's a gun backline. That for me that can be battle any backline in the competition. The only question, obviously, is the Connor Tracy, Will Kennedy. Can they continue to improve? I think they would need to improve to battle it against some of the top tier backlines. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And I think they did get unlucky that Trindle, Brayley, and Connor Tracy probably didn't. All three of them didn't really play as well as they could have. Like, whereas if all three of them just played solidly, then maybe we're talking about something a little bit different. Yeah, really hard team to talk about. I think they've gotten better. Definitely a disappointing result. They definitely should have won it, but I do think that they've grown up as a team and they look more mature now than they were maybe last year, because it's easy to do what they, not easy, but when everything's going right for you, you got the Dally M7 and everything's coming on board. That's something that kind of like, it's how you respond when everything's going wrong. And when everything was going wrong at the Sharks this year, they turned it around. I think that's a sign of maturity and growth.
Oh, mate, you can pencil me in now to look at this squad in February and get very excited again. Yeah. I know I will.
In regards to Roosters' individual performances...
Hang on, just a bit of news before we get into Roosters. So Aleti, obviously we all know he's not playing this week. Looks like Joe Manu is going to be named. It says, we'll work with the club's rehab team this week ahead of the semi-final. Who knows? This is the big one though. Billy Smith fractured his jaw, so it doesn't look like he'll be playing this week.
Shit.
Oh my God.
There is every chance you might see a debut of Robert Toyer,
Yeah.
centre, who's obviously his debut going to Melbourne in a finals game. So not ideal, but a very, very talented kid who's come back from an ACL this year. They've got other options there. Obviously, Corey Allen's come to mind and these sort of guys. But if they lose, if Manu doesn't play, you might see a debutant there. And he's a very good player, Toyer.
I mean, speaking of Billy Smith, so apparently he's like their 5th or 6th string kicker. Like, doesn't even train. And that kick to even it up, which was not an easy kick, Keary thought that, I think he thought maybe Sam was taking it because Keary is the next backup kicker. So Billy Smith is below Keary. And Billy walked up and said, nah, I got it. And just nails it.
That's huge.
Unbelievable. The pressure on the kid, not their kicker, not even second or third, steps up. Everything, all the adversity he's gone through. I mean, he kicked that with a fractured jaw. Was it fractured jaw, did you say? Or eye socket?
Fractured jaw.
So he had a fractured jaw and he kicks the bloody game equaliser to get him back in the... I mean, talk about mental strength.
Yep, that's Billy.
Unbelievable stuff. He was really good as well. We spoke about Terrell May a bit already, but, geez, that forward pack's in good hands, when Hungriest does decide to retire. Him and Lindsay Collins in the middle, oof, beasts. Like, they changed the game. Like, the impact those two players had when they came on, it was genuinely... They took it to another level and backs were against the wall. They had every reason to come on and go, momentum's against us, we've got players missing. It was almost like you could watch the Sharks going, how are these boys holding on like this? Like, how are they getting quick play the balls and bending the line back? And yet they just did it.
How
Lindsay Collins.
origin was that? Lindsay Collins running down Trindle. Like, it was as Manu went off, so he had like a bit of a head start. I think he might have just come onto the field, but he still got across there, positioning himself beautifully.
Yeah.
Him and Teddy sort of made the tackle together. He just keeps doing it.
Mate, it's just phenomenal. Phenomenal.
6 games in a row for Lindsay where he's played 60-plus minutes, 6 wins for the Chooks.
Far out.
Yeah, those numbers I posted the other day, just unbelievable. I think it was 11 games where he's played less than 55 minutes. They've won 3 of them. I think it's now 13 games where he's played more than 55 and they've won 12 of them or something.
If that's intentional by Robbo where he's gone, I'm going to hold him back, and then as we hit the end of the season, going to put his minutes a bit up. It is, first of all, it's gutsy and ballsy as anything. When your season on the line, very easy for you to go, you know what, let's just get him out there. If that's intentional by Robbo, that's one of the great calls all time.
Which I wouldn't rule it out. With Robbo, you couldn't possibly rule it out. So you have a look this year, he's averaged 56 minutes. The last 6 weeks, I think he's averaged about 65.
Yeah, wow. And so we look at, like, say, Harry Grant situation or even a Junior Bolo situation with the Para Eels. We were like, why the hell are you playing him these crazy minutes early this season? Maybe this is why the Roosters are so good at back end of the year stuff, is that he just reduces their minutes at the start of the year so that when they get to the end of the year, they're roaring.
Yeah, well, not a coincidence at all in the sense that they've been slow starters for a number of years now, and we've been quite critical of that. But they always storm home. So, yeah, there's obviously method behind the madness. They're going to be missing next week, more than likely, their best four centre wings. Tupu's gone, Billy Smith, Manu Suoli.
Mate, might be the greatest victory of all time if they go down there and win with all these injuries.
Huge.
Like, unbelievable.
And like on top of that, like it was only 2 weeks ago we thought, could Teddy's season be over here with another head knot?
Yeah. Yep. Amazing. Who else stood out for you guys for the Roosters?
Brandon Smith. I thought he was great at 9. I thought the last few weeks has been his best games at hooker by far and away. And, you know, Brandon Smith coming from that Melbourne system, a premiership winner already. You know, he's been very up and down this year, very inconsistent. But when the bright lights have arrived, so is Brandon Smith. He's been very good.
So bloody good. Anything else for the Roosters, boys?
No, we've sort of touched on most of them there. We mentioned Wong earlier, who was superb. Teddy's charge down, he was absolutely flying for. Like, that is such a big play. All good.
And it's just, like, for Kiri and Teddy to make those plays, like, that's why they get paid the big bucks. Yeah. That's why they're a senior player. When the game's on the line, when the season's on the line, they make it's not just a smart play by watching what's happening, but it's a tough play mentally. You think they weren't gassed by that stage? Unbelievable.
Teddy's won the last 5 Jack Gibson medals. I've sort of thought all year it'd probably be Nat Butcher that takes it, but I think Lindsay might get it here.
Yeah, you know what? Especially with his back end of season form, be between him and Nat Butcher, I reckon.
Yeah.
Amazing stuff from the Roosters. Alrighty. Before we get into the next one, make sure to grab a case of Bloke beer from your local Bomaderry Supercellars, Harrigan's Cameron Park. Harrigan's Cameron Park, a brand new venue in Newcastle, opening Saturday, 16th of September. This pub is a one-of-a-kind with 2 huge screens in their sports bar and multiple different eating and drinking sections while you can watch the footy. Bloke Beer will be on tap in 2 different areas of the pub, so head in for their grand opening weekend and enjoy some ice-cold Bloke schooners. That is Harrigan's Cameron Park. Huge new pub and bar and restaurant as well.
And that'll be during the Knights game.
Mate, get in there. Harrigan's Cameron Park. Some of our reps went there and they said it is unbelievable how hectic the screens are, like a crazy cool sports bar. Curry Bottle-O, IGA Riches, New Lambton. The Curry Bottle-O, it's a new bottle shop ranging both bloke lager, bloke midi, always selling cheap prices. Head in and see Michael and his team for some bloke beer. IGA Riches, New Lambton. Great new liquor in the heart of Newey. They're running a floor stack of both bloke beers for footy finals. Huge support from the store, so show them some love and grab some bloke beer. Arndale Park Bottle-O, so Arndale Park Bottle-O. Lewis, the owner, has a massive stack of bloke beer in his shop right now, and he always sells for competitive prices. If you're in Western Sydney, head into Arndale Park and support Lewis and his team and grab some bloke beer. Now, Knights defeat the Raiders 30-28. I mean, there's 2 huge things coming out of this. It's incredible the Knights are into week 2. But I tell you what, if you want to watch a game to understand what rugby league is all about, the Canberra Raiders' performance in regards to grittiness and toughness and proving the point that it doesn't matter who you have on the field, it's about how far you are willing to go for your mate. The Raiders' performance was nothing short of incredible, in my opinion, and they were very unlucky not to win the match. Timmy, I'll go to you first, mate.
What a game of footy. Devastating result as a Raiders fan, obviously, but far out. This, as you said, this was rugby league at its finest. Not even execution-wise and perfect plays, but just both sides showed so much ticker. Even the Raiders, both sides came back from, I think it was 10-point deficits to overcome that and get back into the game. When the Raiders conceded about 20 points on the trot, and they needed to rack up 10 late on to get back in. You're like, well, we don't have the attack for it. Where are we going to do that? And as the Raiders have done year in, year out, and in particular this season, we've just found a way somehow to do it and get back into the game. And we did it once again. The Knights, was so far from their best, but they got the job done. There's a shitload of points in this footy side. If they can put things together the next couple of weeks, they can go deep, but far out, it was a good game of footy.
Mate, what a game of footy.
Up in Newcastle, like we say time and time again in this podcast, how good the Knights fans are and the atmosphere. To be up there on the weekend for a finals game, it was beautiful weather. The atmosphere was so special.
Yeah. I mean, even Joey was saying, like, I can't remember a time it's been like this. What do you think, Guru?
Mate, the Raiders have won 13 games of football this year, and I think this loss was more impressive than about 12 of those wins.
It's incredible.
They were unbelievable. You must have been so fucking proud being up there. It was wild. When you think about coming into this game without Papali'i, without Corey Horsburgh, 2 state of origin forwards, and then, like, I know he's only in game 2 or 3, but Puru getting knocked out early, like, that changed so much of how you were going to play. There's a reason why he was starting 13 after 3 games, because of the sort of footballer he is, and it changed everything for you guys. I also thought when you came out, you know, you won the energy in the first 2 or 3 minutes, and he went down injured, and it gave Newcastle an opportunity to regroup. Marshew scored, and I sort of thought, fuck, poor old Raiders. They'd come here to play, and then that might have ruined you. And you got yourself back into the fight again.
And Marshew scored that try untouched. They did it so effortlessly, and you just went, oh dear, like, you know, it's all this chat of how red hot the Knights are, and they'll put a score on us, and you saw that, and you just went, maybe they're right. And then, no, like, the Rays got so much ticker.
Well, like, the 2 front rows, Jacob Saifidi ran for 84 metres, and Leo Thompson ran for 66. The starting front rowers for the Raiders ran for 193 metres, Ata Moriata, and Tarpanet ran for 178. Like, that, in a losing side, is nothing short of incredible.
Mariota was an Adonis, and
So good.
I dead set reckon if you asked 9 out of 10 rugby league fans if they knew who Adam Mariota was, they'd say not a chance.
Yeah. Doesn't it bode well for the future of the Raiders? The fact that you've got guys like Mariota, you've got Tarpanet, got plenty of years of footy. Gula was outstanding off the bench. Solo, Trey Mooney, I thought we definitely started to see, okay, this is what this kid, all this chat has been about with Trey Mooney. Mate, as I said, like, the purity of the way the Raiders played, that's what rugby league is built off. It's built off, you know, we've got all these other games in the world where it's purely about skill. Whereas rugby league, a big part of it is toughness and willing to go that extra mile for the mate beside you. That's what makes rugby league so unique to any other sport in the world, where you genuinely have to put your body on the line for the mate beside you. Whereas a lot of other sports, you know, you could look at maybe NFL, but NFL is very stop-start. Whereas league is 80 minutes of fatigue. It's 80 minutes of asking the question, how far am I willing to push my body to make sure that I don't let the guy beside me down? And that's what the Raiders showed on the weekend. It was nothing short of incredible. It seriously was.
Emre Gula, 78 minutes at prop.
Unbelievable.
I look at that, Mariota and Trey Mooney. If you can put big pre-seasons into those two, like, you could have the best pack in rugby league next year.
Remember the start of the year when we were all looking for Trey Mooney round 1? And I'm almost certain it was Mariota who got that spot. And we went, geez, like, didn't see that coming. And then bang, you see finals going with that, and how good Mariota was. You're like, well, that's why.
Wasn't it bizarre in the pre-season? Like, there was all these whispers coming out of Canberra that Corey Hawes was going to play 13. Everyone was like, don't know about that. Now Corey Horsburgh not playing 13. It's a train wreck. And Mariota was the one that came out with all the raps. And we get to finals time, and he just exploded. It was so good to see.
And that's where, like, I mentioned this off air before, but the Raiders, and there's all these links, and there's always question marks around links, but to Kalamatangi and Cowboys edge back rails and all that, it's all good and well. You're not looking at the right spot, boys. Like, so we need it in the back line. We don't need more forwards. We have so much forward depth.
Mate, you absolutely don't need any more forwards. Like, if there's one pack that isn't like a top tier pack where you're like, this is set, it's sorted. You have the big bop, you've got Tarpin at the front, you've got guns like Trey Mooney, Mariota coming forward, Emre Gula plays such a good role, Hudson Young, like, your forwards are sorted. I just thought it was such an amazing effort, and it just proved you, like, again, we talk about it time in, time out, but it doesn't matter how good you are. Like, obviously it matters how good you are, and it's what makes Penrith so special. They have all this grit plus the talent. Now, obviously Raiders have talent, but their roster isn't as stacked as Penrith Panthers. But Ricky Stewart has instilled in these guys that there is no one that we play that's better than us. We will fight everyone equally as tough as the next guy, as the next week. And they just, it's just incredible. It was inspiring to watch. It really was. Like they did not for a second look like a side that shouldn't be in the 8. They didn't for a second look like a side that roster wasn't as good. I mean, Rapana was phenomenal. Like in a week that was all about Kalen Ponga. And look, rightly so, he did end up winning the game for him. Rightly so. Rapana was not that far off in regards to impact in the game as Kalen Ponga was.
280 metres.
10 tackle breaks. Like that is, he had a line break assist. For a guy that a couple of years ago basically was moved on from the Raiders because of salary cap, all that, went over to Japan, came straight back. I think he had to like force his way back into he couldn't get a top grade squad because the cap was already done or something like that. Was that the...
Yeah, and then obviously it happened as COVID hit, so he couldn't go through with the Japanese stuff, and I think he had a massively like disrupted preseason because of all that, and he didn't have a club, and I don't even know if he actually got over to Japan at all. So through that season, I think it was more in 2020, he was all right, but not what we'd seen. It was like, he'd fallen off a cliff a bit. Like, he's been tremendous since. People sort of miss the fact that he hardly had a preseason. Yeah. I'm sure he was doing his own stuff, but COVID was a weird time.
Yeah, doing your own stuff is nothing. You can train as hard as you want by yourself. You're never going to train as hard as you are in a preseason. Yeah, Jordan Rapana, like we have to remember this is a guy that 3 years ago it was like, okay, he's at the end of his career. He's a bit older. He was phenomenal on the weekend. Absolutely phenomenal. Aside from that one blemish, Jackie Whiten was outstanding as well. Really, really good in the centres. And, Ricky Stewart said something pretty interesting in the press conference. He said Jackie Whiten has always been a centre. He has only played 6 for the betterment of the team. I was like, geez, to think that he's been playing 6 for this many years because the team needs it, fuck, isn't that what the Raiders are all about?
It is. Don't you also try and recruit accordingly to get into his best position? How were those 2 defensive plays you had early on? There was the one where him and Matty Frawley jammed Gagai for that Schiller opener, smashed him off the scrum, and then when Margie made that break, Jackie from the other side of the field flew across, took out Margie.
Yeah.
He had some big plays.
Actually, just quickly, back on the Sharkies-Roosters game, don't forget Nico Hines' tackle, try-saving tackle, when they made that chip chase Teddy in that. That was incredible. That kept him in the game. Anyway, back to the Raiders. Yeah, seriously, an incredible... I actually thought Kotrick has been getting a little bit better and better each week towards the back end of the season.
Definitely.
I was really surprised. Like, I'm one of Kotrick's biggest fans. Like, I love him as a player, and as a bloke, he's obviously a legend, but really surprised at just how his trajectory of his career has completely changed. But I think in the last month or so of footy, he's actually been quite good. Mate, the Raiders were outstanding. They really were. Like, what a memorable moment for everyone involved to go up to Newey and have such a classic game of rugby league. Don't the fans deserve it, eh? Like, what a repayment for the years and years of just shit.
It's not very often I sit at home and wish I was at a game of football.
Yeah.
Like, it's not very often I sit there and go, geez, I really actually wish I was there today. And yesterday was one of them. It looked incredible.
Yeah, one of the great afternoons. I can't, looking forward to next year going to a few 90s games.
Mate, so
they've always been, for a lot of people, their second team. They're a very likeable club. They've got a great culture. And it was wonderful. Like, couldn't encourage people any more next season to get up there. And the problem is you'll struggle to get tickets because they're bloody fill out every weekend.
Now, talk about individual performances for the Raiders. I guess the disappointing thing, you look at it all from a perspective of gritty, tough. Unfortunate thing for the Raiders and Raiders fans is they actually gave themselves every opportunity to win that game. They dominated. They had more possession, 57% compared to 43% of the Knights. More time possession, much better completion rate. About 300 more metres run, more post contact, more line breaks, more tackle breaks. I mean, you name it. We could go down the list. More offloads, everything. And just didn't have that icing on the cake to finish it. And I think that's a really, if you ever want to see like, okay, do they really need that X factor player in the back line to win the matches? I think watching that game, if they had a top tier Origin level back, they win that game. And I think that's what's clearly missing at the Raiders right now. And I know obviously Jackie Whiten's playing centre, but for so long he's been playing 6. And also, we've said it all season long. If Jackie Whiten isn't firing, the Raiders just can't go deep in the finals. He fired obviously on the weekend, but because he's been so quiet, it's almost a miracle the Raiders are where they are.
I thought it was interesting. Like I watched Jack White, and in attack he was sensational. His stats were 19 runs for 164 metres with 50 post contact. Matty Timoko, who I didn't really notice him, 163 run metres off 16 runs with 51 post contact.
He was great, Timoko.
Yeah, but I didn't I walked away from there going, geez, Jack was great in attack. I didn't feel the same with Timoko. Then I look at the stats and go, fuck, there wasn't much in it.
Yeah,
pretty much identical.
Yeah, he was. Timoko's getting he's getting so consistent that you kind of accept it now, I think.
Yeah.
Because very rarely do I look at a game this season at least with Timoko and go, didn't really have a crack there, like 70 metres, 10 runs or something like that. Who stood out for you for the Raiders?
Jeez, Mariota had 193 runs.
He was so good.
He was so fucking good.
Wow.
So good. If you said to me, that's Josh Papali'i, I would say, oh yeah, that's Josh Papali'i.
Yeah.
Like honestly, sometimes when he was playing the ball, I almost clicked back and was like, oh, Papali'i. No, that's Mariota.
Yeah, it was very bittersweet when I was Raiders fan. I was obviously so proud of the boys for so many reasons, but on all the stats you read out, Kempy, and watching that game, like the Knights gave us every opportunity to win this game. The amount of ball they dropped out of their own end, their completion was terrible. We had every right to win this game. We couldn't ice it, and you hate being too critical at times, especially at the end of a season. But Jamal Fogarty, who's had a great year for the Raiders, I love the bloke. He had not just one, but several opportunities to ice this game. And like we mentioned, Nicho Hines and he had his charge downs. He got himself in position to have a shot. Unfortunately, Jamal made a couple of poor decisions in the back end of that game in Golden Point. One where took the attack on fourth tackle to the back corner and they couldn't get a shot in. They had a crossfield kick when they could have been having a shot at the one. I know it was extra time. It's a little bit different to Golden Point where, you're building across a 10-minute period. But there was then, even on the buzzer off the scrum, great opportunity to have a crack at it. Couldn't get close there. We had too many opportunities to win this footy and we couldn't do it.
Yeah, and I think as well that he kicked the ball out in the full, about 10 to go, I think. Unfortunately, he played probably 60 to 70 minutes of really good rugby league. And just in that, the back end of the game, it's weird because he's had a game where something similar happened. I think it was against the Dolphins. And then he kind of put that all behind him because he kicked that field goal against the Titans. But it does seem like as the pressure ramps up, because I don't know what the reason is, but it does seem to get to him a little bit in those big moments. Like that, the one with the scrum one, there's no way you should be getting charged down there. You should be so deep that it's just
how can you not execute that? And it's not only him, it's passes, it's everything in there, but you have to be able to execute that better.
Even if you miss the field goal.
Yeah, but get the shot away.
Get the shot away for sure.
The kick out on the full late in that game, that was tough. Inexcusable.
Yeah.
The other big one I thought was the kick just after half time. You're up, you're on the front foot. He put up a bomb from about 30 or 40 out and it was caught in the in goals. 7 tackles set. It flipped the momentum of the game completely.
And it's the thing is, I actually think he played really good. 60 to 70 minutes, I thought he was outstanding and I thought his kicking game was mostly good. But yeah, it did seem as the pressure seemed to ratchet up, it's almost like he was getting flashbacks of the Dolphins game going, because I remember a post-match press conference interview where he was like, man, I don't know what happened, because they had 3 opportunities or something to ice the game and he just kept playing the ball. And so that's where I think as a coach, maybe you need to step in and have a set play. And maybe Ricky has already done this. And look, it's easier for us to say because we're saying in hindsight when in the season he had that game against the Dolphins where it happened, but then he seemed to redeem himself against the Titans. So you, as a coach, you go, oh, okay, well, maybe it's monkeys off the back. But I do think, especially let's say they were to have a finals game next week, you would hope that Ricky would say to him, mate, when we need to do a field goal, this is the set you call, and this is exactly what you need to do.
Yeah, and just to double down on it, as I said, I mentioned Nicho, but if he gets them in position and gets charged down, I'm disappointed, but I'm like, okay, they're bloody hard things to do, nail field goals in big moments. But as a number 7, your number 1 job is game management, and he took us to the wrong positions of the field when he needed to be ready to try and ice that game. So the shots didn't even come.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same with the Nicho situation. Regardless of how well they play up to that point, you've got to... The first one I can understand, in play, look, you just get charged down, it's one of the situation. But to have multiple shots in it to happen, that's where I'm thinking a more experienced 7, that doesn't happen, I don't think. What do you got there, Matty?
Jamie Soward, one of the, if not the best field goal kicker of our generation, tweeted last night, the art of setting up for a field goal is actually harder than kicking it. I wonder if teams practice it as much anymore.
Yeah, and it's what I said like before the podcast. That's where I think, and maybe Ricky has sat down with him and done it, and, you know, Fogarty just didn't. But that's what I'm like, surely there's a play that they, like, you go to the Rabbitohs. Remember they would go to Reynolds would then pass it to Trell. Yep. It was a full setup. There's got to be a call of, like, everyone knows the call. It's called, you know, whatever it's called. It's called green. And everyone knows exactly their job, and it's specifically set up to give the kicker as much space as possible to kick that goal.
That hitting the main man where everyone's focused on it and then swinging it back like the Bunnies did, or teams do it often enough, but nowhere near often enough. And then a bloke's almost got a free shot with all the time in the world. I don't know why that doesn't get used.
That's the thing. Like, I don't know either. Like, for example, that second Nico field goal, I was surprised that they didn't do that for him. The first one I can understand. Look, charge downs happen. But when it's already happened, you go, okay, look, they're on to me as a kicker. I'm the main guy. And the same with Fogarty. I'm the main guy. Just get Frawley set up. Yeah. Just go bang straight to Frawley. And funnily enough, is one of the field goals he did try to kick. Frawley did have a second crack at it. Now he didn't have enough time or anything. So yeah, I agree with you. That's something where, you know, Ricky and Fogarty first he needs to ice it, but then I think Ricky going forward needs to make sure it's extremely clear that, mate, this is exactly the call we go for with a drop goal, because especially in season, you're going to go for the drop goal every day of the week. So you may as well have a set up to give you exactly the amount of space you need.
Especially when you're the team that plays in close, tight games week in, week out. Like, they should be the masters of this sort of stuff.
Yeah, true. Now, onto the Knights. Also, don't forget, guys, Bloke Footy shorts partnered with Aussie Footy shorts. They have pockets. They are outstanding. There's limited amount. Monday, 6 p.m. Set your alarms. They've already been made. We cannot make more. So once these are gone, they are gone skis. Monday, 6 p.m. On to the Knights. Look, it wasn't pretty. It was super ugly. And they had things go against them. Hastings going off at halftime. But Jesus, good for rugby league. These guys are in week 2. And Jesus, good for the Knights, because I would be devo if this Knights side bounced out of the finals without giving themselves and their fans, showing them what they can do in finals. This isn't the showing that you wanted to leave finals footy in when we know how good they've been. But that aside, I'm going to glass half full it. The Knights are through. It's amazing. And the guy we spoke about before in the preview, this was his time to step up. This is what he was brought to the club to do. And boy, did he deliver.
Yeah, he was huge, wasn't he?
Mate. Ponga has arrived.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I mentioned it a couple of hours ago earlier in the show, but just that moment where he led the kick chase, put the shot on Geordie Rapana, I love that. He obviously came out with big plays during. I thought that was the one where he got it out the back of Tyson Gamble, and I think it was Jackie Whiten that he skinned. The pace he was going at, just how do you defend that?
And when he was moving that quickly, I was like, I forgot how quick Ponga was. And I think it has to do with his dropped muscle mass because he doesn't have to be in the front line anymore. Because that's one concern I had with him. The fact that he'd done a whole preseason for front line defence, you're going to put on more muscle mass.
He got huge in the preseason.
He was massive.
Yeah.
And it's like KP does not need to be that big. He is a lightning quick. And I think for a while there, there was even like little things. Like he actually, completely broke Kick Chase's ankles with a mad step on last night. And we haven't seen that in quite a while. Like, we've seen it a bit towards the end of the year, but at the start of the year, we weren't seeing that.
That's the scary thing, too, with KP. Like, he's obviously finished this season in unbelievable form, but, going into next season, he's going to actually have a fullback pre-season.
Yeah.
If the Knights knock off the Warriors this week, Walsh v Ponga preliminary final.
Suncorp Stadium. It doesn't get better.
Jesus.
Like, tell me two fullbacks should want to battle each other more than those two electric fullbacks.
Do you know what else would be cool there too? Like, it's a much smaller battle, but it'll be Ezra Mam and Tyson Gamble.
Yeah.
It's only 18 months ago we were sitting here, which of them's going to fight it out?
Kevy Walters versus Tyson Gamble?
Yeah.
Do you reckon Kevy will go on, if they win, Kevy will go, can I coach now, bro? Or do you reckon if the Knights beat the Bronx, if they make it through, does he go, Kevy can't coach on the mic?
Doubles down.
Whose side do you reckon Cobo would be on?
Oh, what a battle! If it's so Cobbo's on the right side, so it would be Marjo.
I meant because Cobo sledged Kevy Walters as well.
I thought you meant like if he'd be up against Dom Young. No, I think he'd be on Kevy's side, mate. It's all good, mate. Stop trying to create drama in the club, matey. Jesus Christ. But yeah, the Knights, what I loved about this win is like not a lot went right for them. They were nowhere near where they should be or where they have been over the last whatever weeks, but they showed that grit. Their ability to swing the game back in their momentum was outstanding.
Kempy, 15 errors, not just errors, like it's where the errors came. It was coming out of their own end in horrible positions. When you make errors attacking the opposition line or in the opposition half, you're playing some attacking football, it happens, you turn over, not a bad spot. They were in horrible positions. 49 missed tackles, lost the penalty count 7-5, 70% completion. Not horrific, but again, where they turned it over, really bad signs. But they won the game of footy and they still scored 30 points. Yep. That is a good sign, because if they can turn these things around throughout the rest of the finals, well, how good can they be?
Yeah, absolutely. Like that's why I think that them going down to, if you had said to me a few weeks ago, can Knights go to New Zealand and beat them in a home final, I would have said no way. Warriors at home, it's just going to be too much. Like they'll almost play their grand final. But now with how poorly they played and they still scored 30 points, you have to ask yourself, if they can click into gear 80+%, geez, I'll give them a run for their money at home. Like when you look at all these stats, they saved their worst game. What do you reckon, in 2 months, maybe 3 months?
Definitely.
Like this is the worst they've played in 3 months and they somehow won it.
Here's some numbers for you in the first half. The Newcastle spine, Ponga, Phoenix, Gamble, Hastings, they combined for 60 metres in the first half. There was one forward that ran for over 35 metres in the first half for Newcastle. Meanwhile, Jordan Rapinoe ran for 150 metres in the first half.
The GOAT outplayed KP.
But to have your entire spine combined for 60 metres in a half, that's ridiculous.
Spine with KP in it as well.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And remember, Hastings was on one leg. Phoenix didn't have any run metres. So, yeah, pretty wild there. It'll be interesting. Obviously, they lost Jackson Hastings at halftime. I don't know what the story was there, but I think, it was pretty evident Hastings didn't kick the ball at all in the first half. So, you'd have to assume he wasn't 100% going into that.
Yeah, I got to say, I admire Hastings' grit and his toughness, and he's been such a big reason for their turnaround. But if you can't kick a ball as a 7 and you don't have a 6 that is a noted kicker, I just don't know whether you should be playing, if I'm being honest. I think... And maybe he did kick a ball, and I'm forgetting, or we're forgetting, or whatever. But does he have any kick meters?
My memory
kick
was
meters.
that he didn't kick the ball at all.
Jeez.
I just don't know. With Adam Clune playing as well as he did, I just don't know if that's the right call for the team. Now, maybe it was Adam O'Brien that made that call and was like, no, we believe in you where you can play. But if you can't kick as a 7, you shouldn't be playing, in my opinion, to be honest.
It was interesting early in the game. He dummied left. And he prodded, and I thought, this will be interesting. Is he going to run or is he just going to pass the ball off? And he ran, and I thought, okay, he must be sweet. But then didn't kick the ball.
Well, he went down. He kicked himself in the ankle.
Kicked himself, yeah.
But it was in contact.
Yeah, with contact, yeah.
So that's what puts you down. I just don't know if he should have been playing.
Especially when he's playing with Tyson Gamble, who's not known for having an elite kicking game as such. Not a knock on him. He's just a great ball-running playmaker. So it's like if he was partnered with, say, Clune or whatever, you say you let a half-back in Clune take over the kicking, whatever, but it was a gamble.
Oh, one of your best there, Timmy.
Accidental until the last set.
Just claim it, mate.
Yeah.
Mate, just claim it. So I do think that was a mistake from Newcastle. Like if you can't kick the ball as a 7, if you have a severe injury so bad you cannot kick it in play, you shouldn't be on the field.
Is Gamble sweet? He was in all sorts with 5 minutes to go from the sideline.
Yeah,
just before that penalty, he was down and like smacking the ground.
Yeah.
I just haven't seen any follow-up. Is he good?
Maybe just give her a Google, Matty, see if Gamble's sweet. But again, the really impressive thing for the Knights is they got the job done. They got the job done somehow, some way. The great Kurt Mann come off the bench, led him to victory. He was great off the bench.
He was.
I want to give a shout out to Dane Gagai, mate. He played potentially the worst first half of his career. Bounced back in the second half. He scored a good try, but mate, the moment that stood out for me was the scoot from dummy half he took in extra time. I was saying to Matty before, that was Justin Hodges-esque.
Yeah.
Bounced off 2 or 3, and that's what got the momentum in that set to get them down there to get the opportunity to kick the penalty goal. Yeah. So really good there from Dane Gagai that, I'm having a shocking afternoon and he still manages to come up with that play at the end.
But that's Dane Gagai.
Yep,
that epitomises Dane Gagai where other players would have gone into their shell, and it's a fine line because you want your player to care. You want them to care when they make mistakes. but you're no good to us if you're kicking rocks for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
You don't help us with that. We can look in the video session and go, you know what, Gagai, terrible first half. You need to fix this, fixing this. But if you come out in the second half and go, oh, I'm not playing well, I better not continue to have a crack, or I'll just try to sneak through this game and not make any more errors, you're no good to anyone. And so, ironically, he had such a bad first half, you could argue the Knights wouldn't have been in a position they were, but also they don't win the game if he's not in the second half. He was incredible in the second half.
And you have a look at like Dom Young and Marciu, both ran for 220 metres. Great knock. Both had line breaks, pretty long line breaks. Dane Gagai, 178 metres in a game that I thought he had a shocker until the last 20.
Yeah. Yeah, it just epitomises what he's...
8 tackle breaks.
Even in this year, getting dropped from the Queensland side and just fighting his way back to form. Just love to see it. Isn't Dom Young just going from strength to strength to strength? And one of the real... unfortunate for everyone, in my opinion. Like, I know he's going to go to the Roosters and they're going to get the best out of him. It's going to be great. But just a missed opportunity to build a club cult hero for the next 10 years at the Newey Knights.
I think he's done really well. He's a guy that when he first came into first grade, we spoke about a lot on this show. Defensively, there was a lot of issues there. There was a lot of errors in his game. And, it sort of became the common thing for everyone to say. It was true.
Yeah.
But, mate, I haven't heard anyone say it in ages. And he's actually not like... Sometimes you see players like... Daniel Tupou is a good example. He was like that at the start of his career. It completely changed, but people just held on to that. Just saying that about him.
Yeah.
Dom Young has completely overcome all of that now.
Yeah, it's so true.
I haven't heard anyone mention it, and they shouldn't have mentioned it, but usually it just sort of hangs on like a bad smell.
Yeah. When he first came in, some of his defensive reads are going... what are you looking at? Because I'm seeing something totally different.
Even at the World Cup last year.
Yeah,
exactly. Yes.
And then this year, he has just gone strength to strength, and it is scary to think the player that Dom Young can become. Like, it is truly scary.
I mentioned you boys before the show. So we were sitting there right there in front of me in that second half, and just the physique on the bloke.
Oh.
He is a giant, but like not an ounce of fat on him. He's like nearly the perfectly sculpted NRL outside back.
Mate.
Height, speed, strength. Freaking hell.
Yeah. And, like, imagine him with 2 or 3 more years, especially the Roosters' a good system. Like, imagine what he's going to be when his balance comes in, when he fills out. Like, it is super scary to think what this kid's
So
going
it
to be.
looked like a masterstroke signing with the Knights 12 months ago, and now all of a sudden it's, looks like a good spot to be, that wing at the Knights.
Mate, absolutely. Outside KP,
Yeah.
one of the best in the business in getting the ball. Oh, man, missed opportunity by all parties. Like, whoever's fault it was or whatever, you got to think Dom Young's sitting there going, you know what, I love it here. Like, the
He must
Knights-
be enjoying it so much right
Yeah,
now.
there's nothing better. You're scoring meaties. Everyone loves you. You could have got a decent... Well, you would have hoped the Knights would have given him a decent wicket. So, missed opportunity. But let's focus on the positive. Outstanding. Our boy Phoenix Crossland. Far out. Seriously, to think that we may head into 2024, in round 1, we may read a team sheet that has Brayley at 14 and Crossland at 9 is absolutely outrageous, but it also might happen.
It quite possibly could happen. If you're going off form, it probably should happen.
That's crazy. And I'm not saying he's a better player yet than Jaden Brayley, but in squads, it's all about earning the right to... Each week, you've got to earn the right to put that jersey on. And, like, right now, the scary thing for Phoenix Crossland is, imagine a preseason under his belt at 9. And then imagine the impact him and Brayley are going to have through the middle going forward.
Isn't it crazy with this Newcastle side? Like, if you go back 15 weeks plus and look at each player, Kalen Ponga, like, how many people were calling for KP's head that he didn't care about the game? Dom Young, couldn't tackle, shouldn't be picked in the side because he's not going to be here next year anyway. Marciu, couldn't defend to save himself, too many errors. Like, even Tyson Gamble, he's a 5'8" you can't rely on. Phoenix Crossland, they don't have a hooker, their season's over. Like, even Lockie Fitzgibbon, like, I remember when he signed to go over to England, I went, okay, Newcastle will be fine, they won't miss him. 10 weeks later, I'm going, geez, that's going to be a hard hole to fill now.
Yeah.
All these guys have just completely flipped the narrative, and the biggest one of all was Adam O'Brien. He was getting run out of the town week in, week out. Now, they're a win away from a prelim final.
Years of persisting with Adam O'Brien. They said the knives are out for him. from just about everyone. And you go, okay, this is why the Knights persisted with him, because what he's been able to do with all the players you just mentioned and where they are, well, there you go.
And there's no need to go into it, but people in rugby league circles, you were hearing a different rumour about Adam O'Brien every week for the last 2 years. I haven't heard shit.
No.
No one's even mentioned his name in the last 10 weeks.
Funny what winning does, doesn't it?
It's amazing. And I think that, fair play for the Knights for hanging on with Adam O'Brien, because we've spoken about it quite a bit, but how often do we see these good coaches come from great systems? They get to a new club and they try to say, all right, I'm going to take the Roosters, the Storm way, and I'm just going to go apply it to Newey. And they've given Adam O'Brien time to go, okay, I'm going to take the best bits of what I used to know, but also understand that this is a different team with a different environment. And look where they are now. Like, this is a side that going forward, they'll be able to recruit better. But I'd be surprised if they don't build on this next year. Another really important thing is we didn't hear from them, we had this crazy preseason. So I'm not hearing any talk about, like you look at the Cowboys and you could argue, okay, they had this hectic preseason and that's what got them up for that year, and then they fatigued a bit next year. Now, I'm not saying that's the case, but you could make the argument for it. Where I haven't heard any of that with the Knights of we had this insane preseason, we did this crazy army camp, and that's what's got them up. They've built into this year perfectly. Another, I think, a real big point in Kalen Ponga's career. Obviously, it was the coming back from the head knocks and everything, but I actually think it might even go back a little bit further to a conversation with Wayne Bennett, the reported conversation where he basically said, do you want to challenge yourself? Implying that at the Newcastle Knights, he wouldn't be challenged and that he would continue to be comfortable. The report's essentially that Kalen was like, nah, I will challenge myself at the Knights. Now, maybe that had a bit more to do with the fact that he'd be playing six, and the Dolphins didn't really see him as a six; they saw him as a fullback. But at the very least, I do think it has helped light a fire under Kalen Ponga. The fact that he's coming out and done what he's done after his career was nearly over is nothing short of amazing. And the sign of a good coach and a good system is, are you getting the best out of players, and are you making them play to a potential that not even anyone else saw? That's a sign of a good club. That's a sign of a good environment.
Isn't it a good sign of a good club too that, they're going into a sudden death final this weekend. Their hooker's going to be Phoenix Crossland. Their halfback's going to be Adam Clune. Their 5'8's going to be Tyson Gamble. I'm not overly concerned.
Yeah. It's
I'd
honestly...
rather Jackson be there, no doubt about that, but the depth that they've managed to build, and even how they've managed to get Jackson and Adam Clune, who are two very like-for-like footballers, I'm very confident Clune can come in and play a very similar role to what Jackson did. He's shown over the last 3 weeks he can. I don't think all that much changes.
Yeah. I don't... Going into this Warriors clash with that spine you just read out, if you take out Kalen from that, you've got Phoenix, Tyson, Clune, and they're in the second week of a finals, and also basically it's a 50-50 shout as to who can win that match for me. I've tipped the Warriors, but I'm not that confident. I'm really not that confident.
Well, we'll get to the preview soon, but the one thing we said about the Warriors that worried us last week was their edge defence. If your edge defence is off against this mob, you're in all sorts.
Another bloke I want to give a massive shout out to, Jack Hetherington.
Yeah.
Mate, 6 or so weeks ago, I was like, Jesus, when is enough enough? When is enough? You get sent from the field, 10 in the bin for the silliest mistakes ever. He's reined it completely in, and he's just gone about his business and done his job. And I think he deserves a lot of credit for that, because these things aren't easy to turn around when you're a hothead the way he is. I think he deserves credit.
I have no doubt whatsoever that at some point during the week, Ricky Short would have grabbed Hudson and go, hey, there's a brown paper bag. You can get punched in the head by him this week.
Yeah, absolutely. Greg Marju, outstanding. Dom Young, Greg Marju combined for 446 metres. Talk about crucial. It is amazing what the Knights are doing, and to see the fans turn, listening to the roar, and Kalen Ponga, the game is finished. Kalen Ponga is getting interviewed by 9. Half the fans are still there. No. Cheering, and he's going, give us some more, and they're going up, going crazy.
I was in Manly by that point.
Mate, it is nothing short of incredible. What a gutsy win by the Knights, because before the game, everything was set up for them to win well. During the game, everything was set up for an upset. If you know what I mean? When the game kicked off and you got through that first 10 minutes, it was the recipe for an ambush. It was the recipe for the ambush, and just their grittiness and determination just hang in the game long enough to just get enough points to win, and that's what they did. Incredible stuff. I cannot wait to watch them this week. Really cannot wait. Anything else, boys, on the Knights?
All good, mate.
All good. All right, let's get into... all right, for this week, MVP for the weekend.
Nath Cleary.
Nath Cleary.
Cleary.
I'll go Cleary too. All right, finals week 2 preview. What? Nothing?
Back on the Cleary train.
Oh, okay. You're happy because you convinced me.
We got him, boys. We got him.
Okay. Storm v Roosters. 7:50. Amy Park. All right. If you're the Storm, I mean, it is really about honour. It's about reputation. It's about respect for the jersey. You do not want to bow out with another performance, what they put up on the weekend. It's one, look, if you go out in your shield, you go out in your shield. But if you're the Melbourne Storm and you think about the greats that have worn that jersey and everything that they've sacrificed to make that jersey the most feared jersey in Australian sport, you owe it to them to go out on your shield. And that's what I'd be saying to the Storm boys. Who cares about the rest of the season? Who cares about next week? We owe it to this jersey to go out on our shield and make sure if we're going to get beaten, we get beaten by a good rugby league side, not a side that plays average and gets the job done. I think the Storm got to go out and essentially channel what the Raiders did last week. They're not as big as underdogs as the Raiders. They're probably going to this game favourites, but they owe it to their club and to the people that have played before them to put in a good performance here.
I thought Cam Munster's interview after the game was scary.
Yeah.
He just took complete ownership for it. He even called out guys in the team. He said, me, Harry, Jerome, Nick, we weren't good enough. We were shit. Scary.
Yeah. What do you reckon, Timmy?
Yeah. We know for so long, for over a decade, the Melbourne Storm don't put together back-to-back poor performances. It happened once this year, and it was in round 2 and round 3 when they lost to, looks funny to say now, the Bulldogs and the Titans. But all the way back to round 2 and 3, I think after that, I don't believe they lost any back-to-back. They'll be hurting from that performance on the weekend. There's too much star power there. They're not playing the Brisbane Broncos this week, obviously. But completely different side, the Sydney Roosters. And there's Roosters side missing plenty in their back line. I like the Storm.
Yeah. Roosters, I'd be saying, boys, who cares about next week? Who cares about the week after? 80 minutes, let's just enjoy it. Like, I know that sounds a bit underselling it, but we know we've got grit. We know we've got all that stuff. Let's go down and do something great. Let's go down and defy everyone talking shit all year long. We've got all these people out. We're all injured. What's been the knock on us all year? How good's our roster? We should just win it because our roster's so good. All right, our roster is decimated. Let's show the NRL that we are more than just a good roster on paper. This jersey means way more than just people on paper. Whoever puts the jersey on, they need to represent it to what's been happened before, like what has been built on before us. And also, let's enjoy it. Like, we've put ourselves in a position to defy all expectations. No one even thought we'd be in the top 8. Now we get to go down to Storm. No one believes in us. Let's just have 80 minutes of fun and see where it leads us.
I reckon there'll be part of Cam Munster this week too that'll just be sitting there going, I do not want to deal with Brandon fucking Smith if he comes down here and ends my season. I reckon that'll be another little avenue for them. Sorry, got derailed there. But, I think the Roosters, mate, it's a free throw at the stumps.
Yeah, just enjoy
it. No one
it.
expects us to be here. We've got injuries. We've got every excuse in the world. Fuck it, let's see what we can do.
Yeah, just go down there and enjoy it. And instead of being fearful of the moment and thinking, look, we have no right to win this, we're away from home, we've got all these injuries, go down there and say, I can be a part of that Rooster side that goes down and knocks off a rival that we've had for the last 20 years in their home ground.
And the blueprint's there. You take from that Broncos game on the weekend. Again, sure, I know the Roosters don't have the forward pack of the Broncos at the moment, form-wise or by any means, but we go out there, May's killing it.
Yeah.
Lindsay Collins is killing it.
Long's playing mad.
Let's go and floor those Storm middles who aren't as good as we are. Let's win the middle. Munster won't be able to do anything. Hughes won't do anything. We've got the pack to win the forward battle. They won't have a chance. We'll do exactly what the Broncos did to them.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy with this team? Like, you look at the guys that are out and you go, geez, I don't know how the Roosters are going to go. Like, this is a team with James Tedesco, Luke Keary, Sam Walker, Angus Crichton, Lindsay Collins. Like, Still plenty of talent there.
Oh, absolutely.
The mismatch is the backlines. Once again, the Storm backline, particularly the key spine players, up against the Roosters' edge defence, who are now missing a stack. As I keep saying, if they're too good for them in the middle, it won't matter.
Yeah. And I think as well, when you look at the Storm backline, are they that much better than the players that are going to be playing for the Roosters? Because you're still going to have, Billy Smith's out as well. So who are they going to have in their backline then? Okay.
Corey Allen will come in somewhere.
Correct. So
Possibly Drew
Tonamapea, Seve, Coates, Warbrick,
I reckon Tonamapea will be an interesting one this week.
whether he gets selected.
I reckon they might go with Olam. I think I would after this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the backline, look, I'm not sure who they'll bring in. Do you think Crichton will play centre?
I was going to say that. I would seriously consider it.
Crichton centre, Ponga on one edge.
Not Drewy Hutchinson.
Well, they got that other centre spot.
Yeah, they got to fill both centres, remember?
Both centres are gone, both wingers are gone.
Is Paul Momirovski injured?
Yes, he's still injured. They didn't give a time frame of when, but they just said he's
We'll
progressing.
put it this way. I put Ponga on the level of Tonamapea and Seve. Like, as in, I think that, I know they've got more experience, but anyway, what I'm saying is that their backline, it's definitely better with Warbrick, Coates, but it's not like crazy better. And also, we have Tedesco versus Meany.
Yep.
So there's ways that you can look at it and go, look, are we that far off the pack? And that's why I say, if you just say, boys, let's just go down and we are not anywhere near worse than this side. Let's enjoy it. Let's just go and enjoy this match. Enjoy the contest, because at the end of it, we could be sitting in a prelim going, we defied the odds, boys.
Big opportunity for Sammy Walker. Obviously, over the last year or so, Tommy Dearden's definitely jumped ahead as far as that halfback stake. Sam Walker gets an opportunity to go down to Billy Slater's backyard and take on Cam Munster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The world against him. He already did it last week and won that game.
Yep. And then you look at the forward pack and you go, okay, Kamikamitha, Welsh versus May Collins. Who's in better form?
Roosters, boys.
The Roosters boys. You look at the edge, you got Wong and you've got Wong and Wong and Butcher versus Lioro and Katoa. It's pretty.
Sweet.
You know what I
It's a
mean?
little bit closer than what you.
The Roosters have got the pack.
Yeah, like, so you sit there and you go, boys, like we got the. Don't worry about the roster, even though we've completely decimated our salary cap compared to theirs. But let's go do something great. Like, we have the team to do it. Let's ambush them. In regards to the Storm, I'm just saying, boys, it's about high completion. We know they struggle to score points. We just need to give Munster, Grant, Hughes the platform. They'll take care of the rest. They will take care of the rest. But it's on the forward pack, you boys. If I'm Bellamy, I'm sitting down with the forward pack all week and saying, boys, we owe it to Munster, Grant and Hughes to give them an opportunity to do what they do best. Because if we don't do that, it's over. We may as well pack our bags and go home. And also, if I'm being ruthless as anything, I obviously wouldn't say it to the players, but there's probably some people in that forward pack playing for contracts going forward in that Melbourne Storm forward pack, because the Storm have to ask the question, is this the roster that can win a comp? Because that's what they're in the business of doing, winning comps. If they come out and they go loss, they may need to go, okay, there's one or two, we need to go into the market even more aggressively to fill out this forward pack.
And if they were to go to the market, go to a couple of forwards, good forwards at bottom eight sides and go, hey, do you want to come play with Cam Munster, Harry Grant, Jerome Hughes?
Oh, mate.
Where's the dotted line?
And we do know they were after Tino. And Tino would be demanding a massive contract. So they've clearly got some money there in the cap to bring in a big forward. So that's another challenge. Maybe the senior players maybe need to throw down, not the coach necessarily. The boys like, if we want to, we're playing for contracts here. Nelson needs to have a massive game. He needs to almost prepare himself for at least 55 to 60 minutes. But it's going to be violent. It's going to be aggressive. That forward pack battle is going to be nothing short of amazing. And the fireworks between the big dogs, Lindsay Collins, Kamikamitha, Lindsay Collins, Nelson Asafa-Solomona. I cannot wait for this clash.
Would you start Nass off the bench?
Mate, I'd almost go, you know what, we can't afford to. Yeah. We just need to win the battle and win it early. Because
I was surprised he started off the bench last week.
Yeah. I think he might have been relying. I don't think anyone expected the Broncos to be as consistently aggressive as they were for as long as they were. I think that surprised. I think that people thought, okay, first 20, they'll come out firing, but then they'll provide a lot of opportunities for us to get the win, to get the momentum. And to be fair, it actually did happen, because what happened? Broncos come out firing, but then who dominated field position for like 20 minutes? It was the Storm.
Yeah.
So it kind of did happen, but the Broncos' defense was just fucking too good on their line. But I cannot wait for this. And I tell you what, Sam Walker, as you alluded to, if you wanted to have his moment against the top tier, here it is.
Yep.
He can arrive right now as not just a young superstar that's finding his feet, but no, I am going to be on these guys' level. I just need an opportunity to show it.
Be interesting, Melbourne as well. They've obviously lost Pappy. Looks like they'll lose Xavier Coates. I would love to see my boy Farlonger get a shot somewhere in this.
Oh, don't tempt me.
You probably go for 2 hookers to help Harry Grant or a Wishart or someone, but geez, you'd be a good little wild card to throw in there.
Would you throw her out and just go Meany on the sting or on the wing and put him at back for a bit of fire through the middle?
Meany's
I
been
wouldn't
great.
go that far.
I know he's been good, but there's something about Pappy and Fa'alongo that I just don't know whether Meany delivers that in finals footy. It's kind of like the Sam Walker, Drew Hutchins situation where Hutcho delivered, super consistent, but that next level in finals footy.
I think Meany deserves his chance. I know he had last week, but that was his first crack at fullback in finals footy, I believe. I think he's done enough to deserve his crack.
I'd pick him on the bench. He'd been my 14.
Maybe 14.
Farlonger.
Mate, I'd seriously be considering putting Fa'alongo at the back there, because Meany on the weekend, 15 runs, 135 metres, 2 errors. Whereas Fa'alongo, he's going to be probably doing more than that, I'd assume anyway. I know it's a huge call. I know it's a huge call. And as I said, I've been such a fan of Meany this year, but it's just that I just don't know that next. Like when Pappy was on the weekend, I just felt like the Storm looked more dangerous.
Yeah.
But I agree with your sentiment. It would be super unfair on Meany to move him from fullback to wing when Fa'alongo is hasn't really done much.
Well,
yet.
You could pick him on the wing. And, if you need a bit more X factor back there, you could move him back there.
That's why I would go Meany on the wing, Fa'alongo.
I know people will comment. He did have one game, the game against Raiders last year, Meany at fullback in the finals. So it was his second crack at fullback.
How'd he go?
Okay, they got
Well, they got beat. So I don't know how he went individually.
It's just, as I said, Meany's been seriously one of their most consistent, and you could even argue maybe even their player of the year, but it's just that next step of it, dangerousness. I just don't know. But I totally agree with your point. It would be super harsh on Meany. He's been so good for him in such a tough year. All right, Warriors v Knights. Look, Knights, it's all about, boys, we scraped through last week. That's not going to happen this week. You've got that out of your system now. Now we are playing for an elimination, one game away from a prelim. We have everything against us. We are going to the hardest road trip essentially in rugby league. Obviously, Panthers is the hardest stadium to play at, but to fly all the way over to New Zealand is notoriously tough. They haven't had a home finals in so long. So
2008.
The crowd's not going to be on your side. You're not going to win any calls. Everything's against you. But what we do know is we need to trust in the fact that our roster and us playing at our best, we can beat the Warriors. We really can beat the Warriors. If I'm the Warriors, I'm saying, boys, this is so much more than rugby league right now. This is 80 minutes. This is for the Kiwi that's struggling, the single mum that works her ass off all week and watch rugby league at the weekend and it changes her whole weekend, the single father, the guy in the mines. This is for the Kiwi that gets happiness out of us doing something great. The whole nation has gotten on our backs. It's time to repay them this week with 80 minutes of the best we possibly can play.
You've got me feeling like I can tackle AFB right now.
If the Warriors don't use that as a pump-up video for this week's game, they're doing something wrong, because I was getting tingles down my spine.
But is it not, though? The whole country has got behind them.
It's very Billy Slater-esque there.
Bush poet.
Yeah.
But the whole country has gotten behind them.
Yeah.
They need to repay them with, at the very least, an epic clash where they leave it all on the line. Whether it's win or lose, they need to walk away. The Warriors fans need to walk away the same way the Raiders fans walked away on the weekend, saying, you know what, we didn't win, but I cannot for a single second say that we didn't give it everything we could. That's what the Warriors need to do.
Imagine being like Adam Elliott. I think he played 75 minutes the other day, come off the field to no, fuck, I've got to go to New Zealand and take on AFB next week.
Fuck.
What a nightmare on a, what is it, a 6-day turnaround?
Yeah.
If the Knights can win this game, it'll be nothing short of remarkable double that down if Sean Johnson plays. Watching that game yesterday, well before the 80-minute full time was up, the Knights were out on their feet. Gamble was hurt. Hastings is obviously gone. Ponga laid on there, looked like he was hurting. They were gassed. They went 90 minutes in a finals game. They take on the Warriors, who have an extra day turnaround. The Knights going over to New Zealand. Geez, the last 20 minutes of this game is going to be tough for them. Like
Knights basically want to have it won before the last 20 minutes.
Seriously, it will be enormous if they can win this game of footy.
Yeah.
I used Adam Elliott as my example. Imagine if you're Phoenix Crossing, played 90 minutes and made 60 tackles.
Mate, I would literally have mobile ice baths and they'd just be staining them for the next fucking 6 days.
Phoenix Crossing.
They'd rock up to the field.
The poor bastard.
Rock up to the field and fucking cast. Now, the Warriors, is SJ going to play? Is he not going to play? If SJ plays, it's business as usual. We know what to do. If SJ doesn't play, my message to the players would be, boys, who cares about scoring tries on the edge, whatever? We want to be so fucking dominant through the middle that we fall over the line. I want to see forwards I want to see the Knights out on their feet and are so dominant through defence and attack where basically we just take a hit up and fall over the line. That's how we're going to score points. So get this notion out of your head that Tomato Martin is going to, throw these long cutout balls or whatever. He may do it. It may come. That moment may come. But I would be so forward heavy and so aggressive through the middle that basically the Knights just get blown off the park because A, we know they're going to fatigue later in the game. B, they've just gone through. I mean, the forwards for the Raiders absolutely bashed the Knights. So even if SJ doesn't play, there is a path to victory for the Warriors. There really is. From the Knights' perspective, it's basically, we already spoke about the short turnaround, but where is our point of difference? It is Kalen Ponga. Guys, we just need forwards. I need you to lay a platform. Boys, halves, all I need you to do is give us space for Kalen Ponga because their edge defence will show opportunity. Kalen Ponga is the best in the comp, maybe on equal par with Reece Walsh, maybe better, at creating space for outside backs. Just lay a platform for him.
I think if SJ isn't playing, I think it'd be really interesting to see what the Warriors do. I personally thought, Dylan Walker, he can obviously play in the halves, but I thought they lost a lot with him not coming off the bench. You look at their reserve grade side, Volkman's had 9 try assists in the last 4 weeks. He had 4 try assists last week, absolutely decimated the Canberra Raiders, 4 try assists, scored one himself. He was everywhere. I would seriously consider playing him, if for nothing else, just to get Dylan Walker back around the middle.
Yeah.
It has to be Volkman, doesn't it?
Has to be Volk. I didn't think Dylan did the best job last week, and they did miss him through the middle. And I would just be basically telling Tomato Martin and Volk, high percentage plays, just do your defence.
Yep.
I don't want to see, you don't need to kick on third with grubber tackles or whatever. I want early kicks, back of the field, get the Knights forwards turned around because these guys will gas. It will be almost physically impossible for them to play 90 minutes and come out and play another 80-minute absolute grind fest.
Bang on, Kempy. You're just saying, boys, they're going to run out of steam tonight. We need as much ball in play as we can get. Complete high, as you said, kick early. You're playing into the Knights' hands if, this sounds silly, but you're turning over, you're giving away penalties, you're giving them a chance to get a breather and get their
Kicking
legs
the ball
back.
out.
Keep it in play, keep it quick, play through the middle. As I said, don't give them any stoppages.
Yep. If they have to deal with another gritty through the middle performance tonight, they just physically won't be able to do it.
And this ball play in between, depending on what they do with Walker, but Walker, Fanua Blake, Tohu Harris, Wade Egan in around the ruck, they can create enough through all these blokes and these short interchange of passing. Mate, Adam Fanua Blake's having a field day scoring tries this season. They've got it in them, completed 80+%, you win this game, I reckon.
Yeah, I agree. I'd be... If the Knights can go down there and beat a Warriors side that complete over 80%, it'll be one of the greatest victories we've seen. Physically, to back up from what they just went through, it would be nothing short of phenomenal. Nothing short of phenomenal. What a clash. What a clash for both sides. I cannot wait. Storm v Roosters, Warriors v Knights. Beers and break-evens Wednesday.
Wednesday, mate. My team's getting roasted. So
Oh, no.
You should have dropped by.
Oh, yeah, mate. I'd love to. But I live...
I mean, it was your studio.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I might be sleeping on the couch. Anyway, guys, Don't forget, Monday, 6 p.m, the first ever Bloke Footy shorts are getting dropped. Make sure to grab a case of Bloke beer. And as usual, I'll go and fuck myself. Thank you.
Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.